Welcome to the WCBN coverage of Michigan at Northwestern. I'm Daniel Thompson, joined alongside Teddy Gutkin. Welcome to your first football broadcast with WCBN. We'd like to welcome you to the broadcast, and we should have a good one here. Michigan's second Big Ten game and second road game on the season. Of course, dropping that first road game to Notre Dame. This is not going to be quite the same environment, Teddy. Want to give us a scouting report of the crowd right now?
Well, Daniel, when I look at this crowd, I'd say it's about 20% Northwestern fans and it's about 80% Michigan fans. This is about as lopsided as a ratio as I've ever seen at a road game in a Big Ten contest. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, well, of course, Michigan-Rutgers might break even more records here. Yeah, it's a bit difficult to gauge. Purple really pops and kind of blends together in the crowd. I would certainly agree that there was more maize than purple here.
And even when we were walking in, it was clear that
it was about a 90-10 split
by the Wolverine faithful.
The sound, though, does sound about 80-20 right now. When Northwestern tried to get an NU chant, and that kind of got captured and turned into a Go Blue chant. So it really, the Michigan faithful with the great showing. Northwestern, this is their first weekend of this academic year. They did not start classes. They had two home games, hosted Duke and hosted Akron earlier in the year, but this is their first home game with the students here. They were idle last week, so they're coming off 2 weeks rest, but they're also coming off a loss to a MAC opponent in Akron. 39-34 final was that one.
And that was really one of the worst performances I've seen during the reign of Pat Fitzgerald. The team looked undisciplined. They were throwing picks in the red zone. I think they failed to convert on 2 of the red zone opportunities. They threw, I think, a 75-yard pick six. Clayton Thorson, that's a game where he really needed to come up big to improve his NFL draft stock. All he did was sink it even farther, and that's been the story of his season so far. This guy went from a potential top 20 selection to maybe not even a 4th-round pick.
Indeed, that's a good point. There are 2 potential, especially at the beginning of the year, thought of as potential first-round pick quarterbacks in this matchup, Clayton Thorson and Shea Patterson. Thorson, a redshirt senior. It's his time to shine. Shea Patterson does have another year of eligibility remaining. He could choose to stay in Ann Arbor one more year, but most experts believe Shea will be headed to the NFL next year, and Dylan McCaffrey will take over. So it is a pretty good quarterback matchup.
It's a fantastic quarterback matchup, and when we talk about the quarterback matchups, I think one thing we have to note is how good Michigan's passing attack has looked in these past 3 games. For the first time since probably the Jake Rudock era, we've seen Harbaugh allow his quarterback to air it out. We've seen Patterson throw incredible deep balls to Nico Collins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Zach Gentry. The playbook has been opened in a way that we haven't seen in the Harbaugh era yet, and it's turned Michigan into one of the most dynamic offenses in this conference.
Now, real quick, we've talked about the passing offense, but perhaps the storyline for the game is that, at least pregame, is that Northwestern's leading rusher for the year, Jeremy Larkin, had to retire earlier this week due to a medical issue. So that will end his career, which is a really unfortunate way to see a guy have to end his football career.
And that's a huge blow. We're going to have John Moten IV starting in the backfield today. He only has 12 carries for 21 yards this year.
So we have Charlie Kubander underway. The game is underway. Ambry Thomas catches the ball at the goal line. He's going to take it out, and he is going to be swallowed up at around the 16-yard line. A bad start for the Wolverines. Thomas probably could have let that one roll out of the end zone.
Yeah, not the best read there. Could have taken an easy 25 to start the game. Instead, he tries to cut it to the left, goes right into traffic.
So the Michigan Wolverine offense will start with their backs facing us, and they're going to be going toward the Sears Tower, much like we are looking right now here in Evanston, Illinois, directly north of Chicago. Karan Higdon is back. He missed the SMU game 2 weeks ago, but he will be the lone back. Chris Evans is out for the game, so we might see more True Wilson.
And he's been absolutely sensational in his limited action, Daniel. Great ability to run between the tackles, and he showed off some good speed, too. A couple 20-yard runs last week against Nebraska.
Indeed, Karan Higdon had yet again a fantastic performance last week. It's 45 degrees here in Evanston. It's a bit colder. Might see more running.
Feels more like 40.
So Shea Patterson in the shotgun with 4 receivers out wide and Karan Higdon to his right. He's going to drop back and survey the field. Has some time and is able to find Donovan Peoples-Jones, who stays up, tries to fight forward. That's going to be about a 4-yard gain, establishing 2nd and 6. And it was Montre Hardage on the tackle.
That's an interesting play call there, Daniel. I believe that's the first time all season we've seen the Wolverines pass on their first offensive snap of the game. Usually we see them run it up the middle or to the left with Higdon. This time they go quick to DPJ and pick up a couple yards.
You might be right, and to be honest, my brain went on autopilot and nearly said hands off to Karan Higdon. Now Shea Patterson is under center with Karan Higdon still the lone back, about 6 yards behind him. A receiver is sent in motion, and it is handed off to Ronnie Hill. He had that punt return last week, came into the game after Donovan Peoples-Jones, and had a touchdown reception. So it looks like he shot way up the depth chart in this past week.
Yeah, and he had that incredible 56-yard reception late in the contest against Nebraska, had that filthy juke move to get some separation and run into the end zone. Not able to use that same skill here, though.
Indeed, that carry does not go far at all. That's going to bring up 3rd and 7 here for the Wolverines, trying to avoid 3 and out on their first drive.
And look for Zach Gentry here.
He is just to the right of Jawan Bushell-Beatty. Shea Patterson in the shotgun. He has Karan Higdon as a blocker. Now Higdon moves. Patterson looks towards Higdon. He's trying to escape now. He's going to get swallowed up, though. That looks to be Joe Gaziano. He is perhaps the headliner of this Northwestern defense. A very similar player to Michigan's own Chase Winovich.
Yeah, and Gaziano's a really special player. He led all of the Big Ten Conference last year with 9 sacks, and we see why right there. Unbelievable play to get Patterson down and force a Michigan punt.
So 3 and out for the Wolverines, and that's going to go down as a 4-yard sack. So 4th and 11, Michigan now in negative total offense. Will Hart back to punt, and Riley Lee standing at his own 35-yard line. Bit of a low snap, but it gets off fine. Ambry Thomas chasing down Riley Lees, who does have space to return. He's going to cut toward the sideline. He has a bit of room, but is going to be forced out of bounds right before the 45-yard line. We'll call it 1st and 10 from the Northwestern 44.
And it looked like Thomas had good coverage there at the beginning, but unfortunately they had no one guarding the sideline. Wide open room to get just near midfield there.
So obviously a dud of a first drive for the Wolverines, but one thing that is, I think, not to be understated, Ronnie Hill is now into the game as a wide receiver. He really shot at the depth chart with a good game against Nebraska. So
yeah, Ronnie Bell's really proven to be he's almost filling that Chris Evans role of a freshman who's unheralded and shoots up the depth charts early in the year.
So Thorson takes a snap. He's good at play action and looks to throw. He does have a completion downfield for about a 7-yard gain. And that's going to be Ramad Chico Bowman with the 7-yard gain on first down. A much better start to the Northwestern drive than the Wolverines.
And Bowman's going to be a target to watch today. He's 6'2", got a lot of height and a lot of speed.
Thorson keeps it. That might have been a broken play. He looked a bit confused there. That's going to be a modest gain, maybe 1 or 2 yards, establishing 3rd and short.
And this is where this Michigan defense thrives. 3rd and short. I expect this run defense to plug up the middle and send the house here.
So that's actually going to go down as a loss of 1. Rashawn Gary credited with the tackle for loss. Not a sack, though, as Thorson was clearly becoming a runner at that point.
And also, just important to note, Jordan Glasgow starting for Kalik Hudson, who was ejected from last week's contest for targeting, so he'll sit out the first half of today's game.
An excellent note. Devin Bush unprotected, but the pass is off. And the catch is completed at the sticks. Receiver falls forward after being tackled by Devin Gill.
And they're using Moten just like they used Larkin in the first 3 games of the season, using him as a receiver as well as a runner.
So Northwestern gets the first down of the game. That's going to bring up 1st and 10 from the Michigan 41. It is worth noting that Northwestern's kicker is 1 for 3 on the year, so they might want to get much closer to the end zone before it's field goal territory. It's a handoff, and that's going to go for a modest gain, about 3 yards. As Northwestern carries it outside the left tackle, that's the first carry of the day for John Moten IV, who only had 12 carries going into this one.
Yeah, honestly, we don't really know much about Moten's play style. We have a really small sample size to work with, but I expect them to use him the same way that Larkin was used. Again, as a multi-purpose
empty backfield, back. Morrison has a bubble screen. And Thorson is able to complete it. The receiver's still up. Stiff arms his defender and is tackled at the 3-yard line. Falls forward to the 1. And that was really, David Long finally comes in. It looks like the receiver, I believe, Kyrick McGowan, was clear for the end zone, was just caught down by a speedy David Long. That was very poor tackling by the Wolverines up until that point. It's going to be 1st and goal from the 1.
And an unbelievable stiff arm there. That looked like a Madden animation. So many broken tackles, just missed a chance to get in for 6.
Thorson now under center from the 1 yard line. It's going to keep it, and on the second effort, he gets through. That was Cameron Green who cleared the way for Thorson. I was about to announce that he was stopped before the goal line, but on the second effort, Cameron Green plowed some room free, and Michigan is down early, 6-0.
And that's about as poor of a start as you can have if you're the Wolverines. After blowing Nebraska out 56-10, come in and play a Northwestern team that's looked hapless all season. You go 3 and out, and then you allow them to march down the field methodically and punch it in for 6.
At home 3 weeks ago, Northwestern only scored 7 points against 21st-ranked Duke. Michigan now is going to have to not allow any more points for the rest of the day if they want to meet that match that the Duke defense set. I think most would agree that the Wolverines do have a stronger defense. The kick is up, underway, and it is good. That's going to be Charlie Kubander, who dots the I, makes it 7-0 with 10:18 to go in the first half. And this is feeling just a bit like the Notre Dame game, where a very quick drive down the field puts Michigan in a deep hole early.
It's interesting that you bring that up, Daniel, because we also saw Northwestern's ability to convert on those 3rd down plays and capitalize on Michigan's aggressiveness to get some big plays downfield, like that 35-yard reception. They're just playing a little lackadaisical. They don't seem as disciplined as they did during the homestand.
No, this, as you mentioned, this is Michigan's only its 2nd true road game, and they came out lacking on the first game of the season against Notre Dame, gave up 2 touchdowns on the first 2 drives. They settled down after that, only gave up 10 more points for the rest of the game. But this might be an area of concern if the Wolverines are going to concede a touchdown on every opening drive on the road.
Yeah, it's definitely concerning, especially when you consider that Northwestern is widely considered one of the weaker teams in the Big Ten. And they just looked like Michigan was the unranked team, and they were ranked number 14. That was flawless play calling on that drive by offensive coordinator Mick McCall. Tremendous catch and run by Jefferson, and then, of course, Thorson with that great second effort to punch it in.
Only one negative play on that drive. Everything else went for a game. Was the one Clayton Thorson either designed run or broken play. I wasn't sure exactly what that was. It didn't look good, but everything else sure did look perfect. So after Michigan either was tied or led, so Michigan did not trail for 172 consecutive minutes of football. They are now in their first hole since that final drive of the Notre Dame game.
And let's see how the offense responds. I'm wondering if Harbaugh is going to try and adjust the play calling a little bit or continue to be that ground and pound offense that we've seen for the first 4 games of the year. Because Northwestern also has one of the weakest secondaries in the Big Ten. They actually have a freshman cornerback, Greg Newsome II, starting. I'm shocked they didn't try and take some deep shots on him with either Collins or Peoples-Jones. Maybe we'll see that on this drive. I think that's a matchup that's definitely worth trying to exploit.
Indeed, it was a rough start. The first play of the game being a 6-yard gain to Donovan Peoples-Jones. That worked well enough. But the ensuing plays were a Ronnie Bell jet sweep that went for a loss of 1, and then a Shea Patterson sack.
And it's a little curious that we saw Bell in there. Usually that's an Ambry Thomas play. Thomas not getting looks. Instead it's Bell, as you said, a freshman who's really shot up Harbaugh's depth chart and gained his trust. Thomas, of course, now is back to return his kickoff. He already has 1 kickoff return for a touchdown, that 99-yarder against Notre Dame in the season opener.
So Charlie Kubander now with his back toward the Sears Tower in downtown Chicago. Now kicking with a 7-0 lead, unlike 4 minutes ago. The Michigan offense will have to look better if they want to get the kind of win they were expecting. They deliberately kicked the ball far away from Ambry Thomas, and it's going to be Brad Hawkins who just falls on the ball. That was a well-designed kickoff from the Wildcats. They caught Michigan off guard, kicked it far away from Ambry Thomas, and Hawkins decides to fall on it with no hopes of returning. So Michigan is going to have terrible starting field position. Conversely, Northwestern started their one drive at their own 44. Michigan starts at their own 14 and their own 16, averaging the 15-yard line to start drives.
And Michigan's been a team, for the most part, that's been able to drive down the field and have these long drives. I think last week against Nebraska, they had an 87-yard march late in the first half. This is a team that's usually played well with their backs against the wall. But now, let's see if they struggled in their first drive. Let's see if they can pull it together and get back to that Nebraska, SMU, Michigan offense.
It's a TV timeout right now, so we will, 1 second runs off the clock on that kickoff, and we'll have some more time for Jim Harbaugh to talk to his offense, discuss what went wrong and what they're going to do differently here on the second drive. The defense, though, it was largely one play that led to all the yards gained. In fact, on that 56-yard drive, I believe 40 of the 56 yards, so a whopping 80% were gained on that one play. That was really poor tackling by the Wolverine defense. They cannot let that happen again.
And that was tremendous blocking on that play, too. I think Cameron Green landed a huge block that helped really spring him, Jefferson, free for that catch and run. And then David Long had that chance to maybe catch him and limit him, maybe a 15-yard gain, but that incredible stiff arm got him all the way down to the 1. Michigan just getting beat physically and mentally right now.
They really have been. It's really been all Northwestern so far. If you took away the design of the jerseys and the names on the jerseys, and told me to pick which team is number 14 in the country, which team is 1 and 2 and unranked, Northwestern looks like that number 14 team in the country. They've been much better so far. It's early though. We still have 55 minutes of football to play in this one, so anything could change.
Exactly, and one thing I think Michigan needs to do, we didn't see a single carry for Karan Higdon, the team's leading rusher on that first drive. I think they need to give him more cracks at the rock and see if they can get this drive going on the ground, which has been their bread and butter all season.
Karan Higdon really is the focal point of this offense. We did not see him involved whatsoever, and I totally agree. Maybe a time to go back to normalcy for the Wolverine offense. And we'll get you in a second here the personnel on the field. Karan Higdon is among them. That's no surprise. Nico Collins, Zach Gentry, I also spy in the huddle.
And there's Grant Perry lined up, slot receiver.
And, of course, Donovan Peoples-Jones out wide to Shea Patterson's right. Shea Patterson in the shotgun formation, standing at his own 9.5-yard line. Karan Higdon offset to the right to him. It is a keeper for Higdon, who is met immediately at the line of scrimmage and is going to backpedal a bit to gain 1 yard. Turned around right away. One of Northwestern's defensive tackles wrapped him up. That's going to be 2nd and 9 now for the Wolverines. Still looking for a spark on offense.
And I think Gaziano got in on that tackle. He just makes an impact every time he's involved in a play. Truly one of the best in the entire conference.
Karan Higdon now comes off the field, and that's going to bring Ben Mason as the lone back, way behind Shea Patterson, who is under center. Sean McCune and Zach Gentry to the right and left of the offensive line. It's a heavy set formation. Shea Patterson waiting to call for the snap. Takes it, fakes to Ben Mason, and now is looking downfield. Passes for Donovan Peoples-Jones. That pass is way too short, though, and it was pretty solid coverage from Montre Hartage. So it's going to be 3rd and long again for the Wolverines.
And you can tell that Sean McCune was the first option on that. He was running a drag over the middle, well covered by the linebacker Blake Gallagher, to kind of throw it away and just try and take a shot for Peoples-Jones. Clearly the 2nd or 3rd option on that play. Wolverines just not getting it to click early on here.
Karan Higdon remains. No, he's back on the field. It's a 5-wide formation as the play clock is beginning to unwind. 5, 4. Shea Patterson has to get it off from the shotgun formation. He does, and now surveys. Doesn't have much time. He's rolling to his right. Doesn't have anywhere to throw. Is going to throw it downfield and cannot quite reach an extending Donovan Peoples-Jones. That's back-to-back 3 and outs to start the game for the Wolverines. J.R. Pace once again on the coverage.
That was a great job by Patterson to try and extend the play. He had a good look at Peoples-Jones, just doing it a little bit too tall. I know Peoples-Jones is 6'4", but even he can't catch everything thrown his way. And now Will Hart's going to come out to punt, and hopefully he can give the Wolverines better field position to work with.
It truly has been blanket coverage at this point for Northwestern. The pocket collapsed quickly on Shea Patterson, but he was able to break free and find some time, just no one to throw to. Will Hart now standing on his own goal line, going to punt toward Riley Lee, standing on the Northwestern 41. It's a high punt. This one will be less returnable as Lees has to backpedal toward his own 30, immediately has to stutter, and it ends up getting out to the 36-yard line, setting up longer field position. A flag does get thrown late on this one. Not really sure what this one will be. It was from the referee on the far side of the field. So your guess is as good as mine.
It's probably either going to be some sideline warning. I was going to say maybe it could have been face mask or a late hit or of some sort, but instead a sideline warning. And that's something you see every day in college football.
No, it isn't, but that does make sense with the flag being thrown right by the Michigan sideline. So Jim Harbaugh looks to be issued his first warning of the game, although it could be really anyone on the Michigan sideline. He's talking with the refs right now.
And he thought he was irate before. Imagine how irate he is right now.
A bad way to start the day for Jim Harbaugh. In the city that drafted him into the NFL, the Chicago Bears, taking him in the, 1987 draft, I believe?
I believe you're right. And we were talking about it on the way over. He actually had a pretty solid NFL career. Was a Hail Mary away from leading the Colts to the Super Bowl in '95.
Indeed, that's an often forgotten fact. He was the quarterback right before Peyton Manning took over. Down the end of his career, he was a bit old and wasn't able to really string it together anymore and had a bad season, allowing the Colts to pick first overall. But just 3 years earlier, it was Jim Harbaugh who nearly took the Colts to a Super Bowl, threw a Hail Mary that was really good enough to be caught. The receiver dropped the pass in the end zone, resulting in the Colts not going to the Super Bowl, but the Steelers instead. But his career ended in Indianapolis as an NFL quarterback, started in Chicago. We drove by Soldier Field on the way up here. That's on the other side of downtown from us right now. It really is a great place to drive by. It looks very modern on the inside, but the exterior walls of the stadium have those great Greek columns. A great feel here in a world-class city.
It's almost like if a stadium was built on top of a history museum, like the Museum of Natural History. It's
really is a great drive up to the stadium here, going along Lakeshore Drive. Great location. We can see all of downtown from our booth up here, but what we cannot
Beautiful
see
skyline.
Is a first down for the Wolverines. That is yet to occur so far today.
Yeah, the Wolverines offense, they just haven't, they've looked the part of the Wolverine team we saw at Notre Dame and not the one we saw on the homestand. The play calling's been a little off there, not blocking as well as they did over the course of that homestand, and they're not getting Karan Higdon the ball the way they did over these past 3 games. We've seen him get 1 carry and line up as receiver where he wasn't even targeted. The best player on the field for the Wolverine offense needs to get more involved if they want to win this game.
Indeed, it's been a very slow start, and as you alluded to once again, that Notre Dame game, we're going to have to keep bringing it up until the Michigan defense makes a stand, because Notre Dame went right down the field and scored twice on their first 2 drives. Michigan can make us stop talking about Notre Dame if they get a stop here. So
with the way this offense has played, they desperately need it to get better field position.
Certainly, the offense is going to have to start getting yards at some point to help the defense. Clayton Thorson hands it off. It is John Moten IV who runs to the right. Looking okay so far, replacing Jeremy Larkin. He only had 12 carries going into this one, as we stated earlier in the broadcast. Gets a 2-yard gain, but it's the passing game that's really been gaining yards for the Wildcats. Thorson by himself in the backfield. Goes deep, and he's going to complete the pass. That was Josh Metellus on the coverage against Kyrick McGowan, who had the big play on the previous drive. That's going to go down in the books for about a 12-yard gain.
And again, we see Metellus being beat on these sideline routes. It continues to be an issue for him.
1st and 10 from the 47. Now Clayton Thorson still by himself in the backfield. He's able to escape a sack somehow and get the pass off. There's probably going to be a holding call in the backfield, as I think Rashawn Gary is lying on the field. For the time being, it's an 8-yard pass was completed.
No, it's a defensive penalty, hands to the face.
And Rashawn Gary still looks injured. He gets up, though, and I'm guessing he's going to walk toward the sideline. I'd imagine he'll be back quickly, but a really bad start for this drive as well from the Michigan defense, and we are staring down 14-0. Kwity Paye now in the game for Rashawn Gary. And as both offense and defense kind of march toward the north end zone, we're going to wind up with the ball being placed at the 23-yard line. So 1st and 10 from the Michigan 23.
And the bad just gets worse for the Wolverine defense right now.
Isaiah Bowser is now the back. He gets it as a lead blocker, but it's swallowed up from behind by that looks to be Michigan's own Jordan Glasgow. So that's going to go down as a 1-yard gain. 2nd and 9. Michigan has bottled the run defense, but that's basically a given when the team's leading rusher had to medically retire earlier this week.
And Clayton Thorson, when he's been able to throw the ball, he's looked the part of that NFL prospect that we talked about at the beginning of the show. Slung the ball well, and he's finding his open man.
Thorson again surveys, completes it once more. That's right by the sticks. That might be a first down. Ramachiku Bauman does get the reception. They're going to mark it 3rd and short now. 3rd and 1 from the Michigan 14.
And this is where Michigan's run defense has to step up. They can't afford to go down by 2 touchdowns here.
And it's early in the first quarter, 7-10 and counting to go in this one.
This would be a huge stop, too, with the kicking struggles for Northwestern this year.
Thorson under center. We haven't seen too much of that. He's going to try to keep it, and I think he got it. Falling forward, the center created some room, and he was able to fall forward for a 2-yard gain. They only needed 1. 1st and 10 from the Michigan 11-yard line.
And the Wolverine faithful completely silenced right now, Daniel.
Yeah, as we were talking about to start this game, it sounded like a Michigan home game. Right now sounds like a Northwestern home game, I can tell you that. 1st and 10 from the 11. The Michigan defense is going to have to try to bend but don't break. It is worth noting, once again, Northwestern's kicker is 1 for 3 on the year. It's a handoff to Moten IV, who is met in the backfield by multiple Wolverines, thrown out of the pile by Chase Winovich. That's going to go down as a loss of 1. Brian Monet credited with the tackle at first.
And again, we've talked about it so many times. They've been great at defending the run, but when Thorson has the ball in his hands, it seems like this Northwestern offense is impossible to stop. They need to contain him in the passing game if they want to win this game and get off the field with at least 3 here.
Northwestern has 5 rushing yards but 83 passing yards. That is not a recipe of success for the Wolverines. Thorson drops back, surveying. He has plenty of time, is able to file to a man downfield for a small gain. A flag is thrown, though. I'm not sure what this will be. Might be a push-off on the offense. We don't know. Cameron Green got the reception, the tight end, from Buffalo Grove, Illinois. The referees meet around the 8-yard line. That's where the ball was spotted. We'll get a call here. Pass interference on the offense against Cameron Green.
And a huge loss there for Northwestern.
And keep in mind, the line of gain here is the 1-yard line, so it's basically a goal-to-go situation. And we know how difficult it can be for offenses to get to work when there's a lot less space and the safeties are playing a lot closer to the line of scrimmage. That ball is placed way back there at the 26-yard line. It's going to be 2nd and 25, and it's effectively 2nd and goal from the 26-yard line. It's going to be very difficult for Northwestern's offense to get out of this one. They're going to be playing for a field goal right now because it's a 43-yarder from where they are.
And remember, Daniel, on their 13 trips in the red zone this year, they've failed to convert on 4 of them.
Cameron Green in motion. Thorson hands it off, and Winovich brings down John Moten IV for what was that? That might be a 5-yard loss.
And this is the Michigan defense that we've seen on this homestand, Daniel. They look absolutely fantastic on these last 3 plays.
Chase Winovich either got through there unblocked or just made an amazing move right from the get-go. John Moten IV is going to have 0 rushing yards in the game now, but that is not his fault whatsoever. Adrian Peterson, any NFL running back could have not escaped there at any moment. So that's going to bring up 3rd and 29 from the 30-yard line. Northwestern's kicker has missed shorter field goals already this year. Thorson now looking to pass, is able to complete a short gain. That is going to be caught by Rude Shakio Bowman for maybe a 4-yard gain. That's going to be 4th and 26.
And he's been a favorite target early in this game, Daniel. I think that's his 3rd or 4th reception of the game. Thorson's looked to him early and often.
So it's 4th and 26. The Michigan defense really shining right there. They were given an inch thanks to the offensive pass interference call, and they really took care of it from there. It's going to be a 45-yarder. And Northwestern's kicker, Charlie Kubander, is 1 for 3, missing a 43-yarder and a 35-yarder earlier in the year. So this is far from a sure thing. The kick is up. It looks good, though. That is going to count for 3. Charlie Kuvander, we've been really describing him as a liability so far. He shows us up right now, though, makes it 10-0.
And that one just had enough leg to get through the uprights.
Indeed, that's going to count for 3 nonetheless. He got the job done there. Kicking has been a bit of an issue, but with 4 minutes to go in this one, the Wolverines are down 10-0. Not quite as bad of a start as the Notre Dame game, but the offense has showed no signs of life so far.
I mean, obviously it's never fun to give up points on 2 consecutive drives, but if I had told you when they had the ball at the 11 that the Wildcats were going to come away with 3, I think you'd probably take that bet most of the time.
For sure, from 1st and 10 at the 11, that's got to be the least you can ask from your defense. But from the offense, on the other hand, they've given nothing. Even the most reasonable requests from the offense have not been met yet. Michigan's total offense is less than 10 yards. I can say that for sure. It's right now 2 total yards of offense from the Wolverines. That is not acceptable under any circumstances.
Absolutely not, and they need to try and get more creative with this play calling, especially trying to find ways to get Karan Higdon the ball. We've seen what he can do in the passing game when they get it to him. Haven't seen him look his way yet.
So we're at a TV timeout right now, but we will get back any moment now, and you got to wonder what Jim Harbaugh has said to his offense. We know that they can do better than this, for sure.
Absolutely. Even in the Notre Dame game, they were able to have a couple drives where they moved down the field with relative ease. We haven't seen them pick up a first down yet.
We have not. That's really been the biggest issue. It's Northwestern's had a lot of big plays, so the first down disparity isn't too bad, but something has to be done one way or another. Michigan cannot afford also to give Northwestern, once again, great field goal territory. It was a really good kickoff by kickoff specialist Drew Luckenbaugh, who kicked away from Ambry Thomas, and Brad Hawkins didn't want to risk anything and just fell on the ball. When you factor that in, that's about a 10-yard swing versus a touchback. If Northwestern doesn't draw that up and everything else unfolds the same way, which there's no way of knowing if it does, but let's say it does, that's a 55-yarder, not a 45-yarder, and that kick is almost certainly not good, and Northwestern probably punts in that situation. So you can attribute 3 points right there to the kickoff specialist, Drew Luckenbaugh. That's where you win games in football. Find 3 points where you normally don't.
Honestly, if I'm Michigan here, I'm just taking the fair catch and starting at the 25.
It's been 2 bad starts. Michigan started their first drive from their own 16 and then the second from their own 14. You have to think that a touchback would be welcomed by the Wolverines right now. It's once again a low kick from Drew Luckenbaugh. That's caught at the 22, though. Hawkins has not much space, but a good field position. Tackle at the 30, so there Hawkins is a bit more prepared, and that strategy does not work so well. Michigan now gets good field position. Considering it's a kickoff, they'll start from their own 31.
And they've already doubled their average starting field position.
You're correct. The average was 15 going into this. They're now at the 31.
And it looks like we're going to have a timeout immediately after the kickoff. You got to love nationally televised games.
You sure do. That's giving us a lot of time to break this one down, though, so I don't mind. Teams are taking their time, and Northwestern's defense, they got to be feeling really fresh right now as opposed to most defenses playing the Wolverines. We've seen really slow starts in every single game beside the Nebraska game from the offense, but the defense might be a bit more concerning, surrendering 10 so quickly, although the Michigan offense could not have started any worse without committing a turnover.
I completely agree. They don't look as focused and as dynamic as they did in the past 3 games.
Nico Collins and Grant Perry out wide to the right, 2 tight end set, and Karan Higdon to Shea Patterson's right, who is in the shotgun formation. Shea looks to throw. Gaziano, he avoids a Gaziano strip sack and is going to run downfield for about a 4-yard gain and is tripped as he falls out of bounds and kind of does a barrel roll into the Northwestern sideline, swallowed up by a sea of purple.
And he tries to look for McCune over the middle there, covered, just takes himself, picks up about 3 or 4.
Once again, blanket coverage from the Northwestern defensive backs, who most pegged as a liability on this defense entering the game. They've done phenomenally. And once again, the defensive line can't quite catch Shea Patterson, who escapes for a 3-yard gain, 2nd and 7. Similar formation, Donovan Peoples-Jones and Nico Collins out wide right, and now Karan Higdon exits in motion to line up as a wide out to the left. Empty backfield. Shea Patterson passes it to Karan Higdon. No one is covering him. I don't know why. He makes a move to the outside, picks up 10 yards for the first Michigan first down of the game.
And what did I say, Daniel? When you get the ball to Karan Higdon, good things happen.
Well, and when you don't cover Karan Higdon, bad things happen for your defense.
That's right.
I guess sending him in motion confused the Northwestern defense. Probably the Michigan coaches saw something they liked there about putting him in motion. He was uncovered. It was a shallow throw behind the line of scrimmage, but he had a lot of room to gain steam.
And that play reminiscent of the one Northwestern ran on their first drive when Moten picked up the first on third down.
Sure is. Goes for a 9-yard gain. In the shotgun, Patterson hands it off to Higdon, who's running to his left, has some room, and is forced out of bounds about 2 yards shy of the first down marker. 2nd and 2. Michigan crosses into Northwestern territory for the first time as Jared McGee comes up to make the tackle.
And we've got 2 new wide receivers checking into the game, Daniel. We have Ronnie Bell and Oliver Martin, a freshman and a sophomore.
Indeed, Michigan really digging in deep here as Donovan Peoples-Jones runs out right now. So that's a bit unconventional, sending out the best receiver on the team, but play calling has looked good so far. First down markers at the 47, 2nd and 2 from the 49 right now. 30-second timeout, though, called by the Michigan coaching staff, so that'll give us 2:17 remaining in this one. Wolverines trail 10-0, looking to put points on the board here. They're in the Northwestern territory at the 49-yard line.
I'm not really sure what that timeout was for. I think maybe they saw defensive alignment that they didn't like. We're trying to talk this over.
Indeed. It looked like Shea Patterson
sure.
called for that one. He must have seen something he didn't like. It's a 30-second timeout. We'll do a quick game break for some scores across the country. Another Big Ten score right now where you have maybe a not as strong traditional program in the Big Ten beating a Big Ten power by 10 once again. Purdue leads Nebraska 17-7. Scott Frost called the game last week the lowest point in Nebraska program history.
That's a little bit of an overstatement.
It might be deja
vu.
It's
up there.
Well, it's a risky statement when you're going to be a home underdog to Purdue the next week, and right now Purdue covering that spread, leading by 10. Shea Patterson under center right now with Karan Higdon about 6 yards behind him, ready to pick up some steam if he receives the handoff. They send Ronnie Bell in motion, fake the handoff to him and Higdon. Patterson has all day to throw and has a wide open Sean McCune who can't handle the catch and drops it. You could probably hear the crowd roar and then either yell for glee or sigh. It's a pretty even mixture right now between Michigan and Northwestern fans. Either way, it got loud.
And that's unacceptable right there.
It'd be first
and wide open chance for the biggest gain of the day for the Wolverines so far, just slips right through his hands.
It'd be 1st and 10 from about the 30 had that been caught. Sean McCune cannot make the catch, however. Now it's 3rd and 2 from the Northwestern 49-yard line. 3 receivers out wide right. Zach Gentry to Patterson's left, and Karan Higdon immediately to Patterson's left. Northwestern shows blitz. It's a bubble screen to Collins, who is hitting the backfield, makes a cut, and is fighting for the first down. Can't get it, though. Tackled before the sticks. It should be a 1-yard gain, setting up 4th and 1, and now it's decision time for Jim Harbaugh.
And no signal yet, but I think they're going to go for it. Ben Mason trotting onto the field, along with Oliver Martin and Sean McCune.
Looks to be a jumbo set right now as Ben Mason, the short yardage specialist for the Wolverines, sophomore fullback, is ready to go here. He's only been on the field for one other play. 4th and 1. This is going to be a pivotal moment in the game. Northwestern will have great territory should Michigan not pick up.
I think you got to give it to Big Ben here if you're Harbaugh.
8 men on the line and 2 backs right behind Patterson. They hand it off to Higdon, who has some space. He'll get the first down. Met near the line of scrimmage, and Northwestern's now kind of celebrating. It looked like Higdon had a big gap to run down.
It looked like he may have gotten there with second effort, but of course the spot's going to determine this.
Well, the Michigan offense is staying on the field for now. They have not moved the sticks yet, though. They're probably going to measure. I thought that Higdon had a lot of room to run. All he had to do was really push any man in any direction, but then he kind of immediately fell down the second he hit that hole. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, not showing the fight that he usually does. Kind of just gave up as soon as there was contact.
Yeah, Michigan's line really opened up a big hole for him. Looked to be a sure first down. Now I don't know.
And it's going to be
kind of hard.
Close.
And Northwestern's defense is celebrating. Michigan does not pick it up, and they're in trouble here, down 10-0, and Northwestern's going to take over from their own 48 or 47-yard line.
And a pivotal failed 4th down conversion there. Michigan's been searching for any kind of momentum. They could have had it with that big McCune play that slipped through his hands. Could have had it again there with that 4th down conversion. Higdon just doesn't have the fight. And now, again, Northwestern's offense with excellent field position to start their drive at the 48.
So we're not even out of the first quarter, and it's panic time for Michigan. They're down 10-0, giving Northwestern 1st and 10 from their own 48-yard line with 1:21 to go in the first quarter.
And
Thorson
Michigan can't afford to give up more
in the
points.
shotgun, play action, surveys, and that is dropped. That wasn't going to be a big gain either way. Delano Hill with great coverage. Once Lavert Hill, I said his older brother's name. He's a defensive back for the Seattle Seahawks. Lavert Hill, many believe, is going to leave early this year and enter the NFL draft. He should be playing on Sundays next year, too, alongside his brother, maybe not on the same team like the Griffin brothers in Seattle. So Thorson in shotgun right now with Moten to his left. Hands it off, and Moten is swallowed up, but not before gaining 2 yards, is able to carry Chase Winovich for a modest gain, 3rd and long upcoming.
And Winovich, as usual, everywhere in the backfield today.
So if Michigan can get a quick 3 and out here, they'll get the ball with still some time remaining in the first quarter. They finally had a good-looking drive. 53 seconds to go. Thorson in the shotgun, Moten to his left. 3 wide as Thorson looks a bit confused, still has some time to get the play off. Finally snaps it, he has a lot of space and time. The pass is complete, but that's going to go for a 1st down. That's about a yard beyond the line of scrimmage. Once again, Ramu Chikau-Bowman makes the play for a 7-yard gain. 1st and 10, Wildcats.
That's catch number 5 in the first quarter for him. He's been absolutely sensational for the Wildcats so far.
He really has been. And Northwestern has really done a fantastic job of giving Clayton Thorson all day to throw. We talked about how he has had a disappointing year so far, but Thorson has had a career day so far. Teddy, do you remember how many incompletions Thorson has had today?
I want to say 1.
You would be
right?
correct. He is 8 for 9 for 94 yards as we enter the second quarter.
Yeah, he's really, it looks like he's playing against a scout team right now. He's picking this Wolverine defense apart in every way.
And Northwestern only had 5 men on the line there. I'm not really sure what they did to neutralize the Michigan defense, but their line has been exquisite. They're looking a lot more like that 10-win team they were last season, unlike a team that's right now 1-2, lost to a MAC team, as well as losing to Duke by 14 just 3 weeks ago, earlier this month.
Yeah, and it's interesting that the ground game has really been their entire offense for the first 3 games. Today, with the departure of Larkin, we're seeing them get back to that passing attack that made Clayton Thorson an NFL draft prospect, and he's showing why he was considered an NFL draft prospect. As he said, 1 incompletion, just under 100 yards. He's absolutely picking this defense apart right now.
Indeed, it's really been no Larkin, no problem right now for the Wildcats. I mean, truly amazing. You could argue that they are sorely missing Larkin still, because they have next to no rushing yards.
And that's the credit to the incredible front 7 for this Wolverine defense. That's really been their calling card all season, and they've proved that again here today. Great job blocking up Moten. Even though he is the guy with 12 career carries coming into this game, they've really shut him down and limited any impact he may have.
Yeah, QB comparison right now. We mentioned that they're both potential NFL draft picks. Clayton Thorson, 8 for 9 for 94 yards. Shea Patterson, 3 for 6 for 15. He should have more than double that, though. Sean McKeown dropped a 1st down that ultimately led to a failed 4th down conversion.
Yeah, and that's usually a play we see Zach Gentry running. Usually McKeown's on some of those shorter routes. Gentry's farther downfield. You see those roles reversed there, and McKeown unable to come up with what would have been a game-changing play.
And right now, Northwestern has 11 total rushing yards compared to Michigan's only 6. We've kind of dogged on the Northwestern rushing game, but Michigan is doing worse. Ronnie Bell is -2, Shea Patterson -1, but that part of that's a sack. And Karan Higdon, 3 carries, 9 yards. His average on the season seems to be about 25 yards a carry. That's what it's felt like. He has 3 yards a carry right now.
And I think we really undersold the impact that Gaziano was going to have on this game. He had 9 sacks last year. Seemingly every time Michigan's tried to hand the ball off or set up routes downfield, he's applying pressure to Patterson and just forcing either a bad throw or a minimal gain on the ground. He's been everywhere. There's no other way to put it.
And Shea Patterson has had very little time to throw. He has done a really good job of breaking the pocket and then buying time, but receivers have been rarely getting open, and when they did, they've dropped it, as Sean McCune did earlier. This game really turning into a nail-biter. I think a lot of Michigan fans were talking about how much they wanted to win by. Right now, it's about winning this game.
And this game reminds me a lot of the Purdue game from last year, where Michigan came in against a weak Big Ten opponent and then just completely sleepwalks through the first quarter. I think they were down 10-0 after one quarter in that game too. Funny enough, now that I bring it up.
You might be right. I was in West Lafayette for that one.
And that was that was broadcast on Fox too, ironically enough.
Yeah, Fox buying most of the Big Ten rights to broadcast games, so that probably going well for them. Big Ten football, really, there's nothing like it. So we're about through the first quarter break, and the two sides of the ball are going to switch sides here. Northwestern now for the first time is going to be headed toward the Willis Tower and downtown Chicago that you can see here from the stadium. Really an exquisite view. You can see all the trees starting to turn yellow and red for the fall, and then downtown Chicago, a great mixture of urban and nature.
It's really one of the best cities in America.
Thorson now takes the field from the shotgun. He's going to look to throw, completes it for a gain. I believe that's Kyrick McGowan with the reception. Flynn Nagel, rather, with the catch.
And he's one of their best receivers. He came into this game leading the team with 20 catches for 225 yards.
I'm surprised they didn't have to call his name until the first play of the second quarter. So now, 2nd and 1 for Thorson, who hands it off to the running back, who cuts inside for a really healthy gain. That's going to go down as about an 8-yard gain. Solomon Vault on the big gain. He had no carries entering this game, having to come in with the unfortunate retirement of Jeremy Larks. So 1st and 10 from the Michigan 22. This sounds like a broken record. The Michigan defense really just hemorrhaging yards toward the Northwestern offense. Another handoff. That one's not going to go for much, though. We'll call that a gain of 0, setting up 2nd and 10.
And again, it's Chase Winovich closing that hole and closing it quickly.
Winovich really been the only standout so far, along with David Long. He has really done a fantastic job covering his man and ended up making a big touchdown-saving tackle, if only temporarily, earlier in the game. So 2nd and 10. In the shotgun is Thorson, who play actions. Chase Winovich hits him, and it's going to be only the 2nd incompletion of the game, as Thorson had a good mental clock in there, got the ball out just in time, but could not hit his man under pressure.
And great coverage there by Jordan Glasgow, who's filling in for Khaleke Hudson. He's really made the most of his opportunities in limited action this season.
And he really did in the Nebraska game, too. Had a really good impact.
Absolutely came up with a sack in that game.
Indeed, we won't see Khaleke Hudson until the second half, and Michigan might need him badly with the way this one's been going. 3rd and 10 from the 22. We know Northwestern has kicking issues. So far, so good today. It's a 39-yarder from where the ball is right now, but Michigan's defense needs to get off the field before they can worry about the special teams units. Thorson drops back, has time, fires deep toward the end zone. That's going to be pass interference. The ball falls incomplete, but Northwestern's going to have the first down either way. That was Lavert Hill on the coverage. Got beat by Trey Pugh, the tight end. Really, I think he could have played the ball there and been okay. He had the angle, just never decided to look back, and this is going to be defensive pass interference against the Wolverines. 1st and 10 Wildcats. Michigan cannot get off the field on what might have been the longest 3rd down for the Wildcats beside that 3rd and 26 from earlier.
I know we said we were going to try to stop bringing it up, but this is also reminiscent of the Notre Dame game with the penalty on 3rd and long to extend a drive.
Well, it's on the Michigan defense to make us stop bringing it up, because right now they look like a ghost of their former selves, who held Nebraska to 3 points until late in the 4th quarter. Thorson now comes in. It's going to be 1st and goal from the 7-yard line. One running back set as always. Thorson keeps it, has a bit of room to run. That's going to go down as about a 5-yard gain. 2nd and goal from the 2 upcoming. That's Michael Dwumfor on the tackle.
Dwumfor's helmet fell off.
So Dwumfor has to take a play off. We'll see who they send in. Looks like Aiden Hutchinson was about to run on. Now I don't know. Michigan only has 10 men out there, and now Devin Gill runs in there in relief for Josh Ross, and Brian Monet comes in for the goal line stand now. 2nd and goal from the 3-yard line. Thorson all by himself. You don't see that much from the 3-yard line. Brings Moten in motion now to join him. Still a shotgun formation from the 3-yard line.
A curious look here from the 3.
They hand it off to Moten, who is going to easily walk, standing up into the end zone. 16-0 Northwestern. I'm really speechless right now, Teddy.
Yeah, this is something that I don't even think Northwestern fans saw coming today, Daniel. This looks like a complete role reversal.
Yeah, it really does look
Northwestern looks like the team that's ranked 14th right now.
Looks like what Michigan was anticipating to do to Northwestern. I mean, this is really looking bad really early for the Wolverines. Northwestern's had really good field position for all 3 of their drives. They're going to score on all 3 drives now, as Charlie Kudbander is awaiting the snap to make this 17-0. That is up. A bit close, but that one is good. Just straddling along the right upright. 17-0 Northwestern. So, Teddy, what the Michigan offense looked to be moving until Sean McCune dropped that pass. Then on 4th and inches, it was Karan Higdon who had a pretty good hole. I don't know exactly how that tackle was made because it looked like Karan Higdon was free for a good 3 or 4 yard gain. And now Michigan is quickly in a deep, deep hole. They haven't trailed by 17 all year. Didn't trail by 17 in the Notre Dame game at any point. They did trail by 17, then Ambry Thomas returned the kickoff for a touchdown, immediately cutting it to 10.
I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure Michigan has allowed fewer than 17 points in their past 3 home games. They have 17 in the first half already. This defense looks like, again, like they did in the Notre Dame game. They look undisciplined, bad in coverage, and they're just getting ripped apart by Clayton Thorson right now.
Well, and in the Notre Dame game, I will say, it was largely chunk plays. This is just first down after first down, 10 to 15-yard chunk plays, not any big home run balls like the second touchdown from Brandon Wimbush in the Notre Dame game. This isn't much more than just a beatdown right now from Northwestern's part. They have dominated Michigan in every sense of the word. This is what it looks like Northwestern was supposed to be. I'm at a loss for words here, honestly.
I'm completely with you, Daniel. I'm trying to think of some positive I can talk about for this Wolverine team. The only thing that comes up is that Chase Winovich has stopped the run, but honestly, there's a dude that had 12 career carries coming in. That's not exactly the most impressive thing in the world. The offense looks lackadaisical, and outside of Winovich, the defense has looked abysmal. I try to look for positives, but I really can't find any, man. This hurts.
This really has been a shocker up to this point. There's not much to say here beside the fact that Northwestern has dominated the line of scrimmage. Northwestern's receivers have gotten open. Northwestern's defensive backs have blanketed Michigan's receivers. So Michigan now taking the field. For the first time, they're going to be moving toward us. Their backs away from downtown Chicago. 12:56 to go. 17-0 Northwestern. I did not think I'd be saying that in my wildest dreams right now, but all credit to Northwestern. They have dominated this game. No way about it. This hasn't been cheap, fluky plays. No turnovers so far. Michigan gambled on the 4th and 1 and it backfired, but it's been all Northwestern.
And let's see if maybe changing sides will fix this funk that the offense is in.
Northwestern kind of in an interesting formation as Charlie Lukenbach kicks it off. This one going toward Ambry Thomas finally, who will return it, catches it at his own 4, charging ahead. And we mentioned he had that great return against Notre Dame. No such heroics so far. 1st and 10 from the 21 upcoming for the Wolverines.
Yeah, odd decision there from Thomas. It seemed like he started to run right as the Northwestern coverage team was running at him. Could have easily just taken the fair catch and gotten in 25 yards right off the bat. Instead, tried to make things happen on his own, and it cost him about 4 or 5 yards to start this drive. I feel like in a game like this, you just got to play it safe and take all the yards you can get.
So 79 yards to pay dirt. We haven't seen this formation yet. Ben Mason and Karan Higdon to the left and right of Shea Patterson. Ronnie Bell in motion, runs past Patterson. They hand it off to Higdon, who has a lot of room to run. He's into the backfield. If he cut outside, he could have gotten even more, but I'm not going to complain about a 17-yard gain. Can't really blame him for doing what he did. That was a really easy run. The offensive line parted the Northwestern defense, and Karan Higdon just exploded down the middle. Going to be 1st and 10 from the 39-yard line. Michigan offense showing signs of life.
And it was that great block by Ben Mason that freed him up and created that opportunity.
Mason's really found himself a lot more playing time so far. Another handoff to Higdon, running to the right, has a gap, but it's still pretty crowded, has to fight for maybe a 4-yard gain, we'll call it. 2nd and 6 upcoming from the 43.
And that was set up to be a run to the right sideline. Instead, Higdon tries to cut it up, and fortunately not able to find the space that he was expecting there. Blocking on outside runs has really been a weakness for this Wolverine team today.
Michigan has about tripled its rushing yardage today on this drive alone, and it's only been 2 plays long.
Trust the process, right?
Eventually, you will establish the running game and open up the passing game. That is the philosophy of football, as Patterson now drops, looking to throw, has time, has Nico Collins for a modest gain. That's going to go down for maybe a 4-yard gain. It's going to be 3rd and 2, judging from where the referee is standing to spot the ball. Yep, 3rd and 2 from the 48.
That throw is a little bit high. Maybe if he throws it a little lower, Collins can break away and pick up that first, but Patterson just launching that one a little too tall for the speedy Collins.
Well, now a WCBN favorite, Ben Mason, enters the game. 3rd and 1. This is Ben Mason time right now. Karan Higdon did not do well with the carry on 4th and 1. We'll see if maybe Ben Mason might get it. Heavy set right here, only one receiver outride. Ben Mason does get the carry, and he's pushing the line. 1st down, Michigan.
And Austin Falco's got to love it.
Our own Austin Falco up in the booth for a lot of our calls. He's got to be proud of his his favorite player, Ben Mason, picking up that one. Ben Mason's going to get rewarded with more play. No, he comes off. Looked like he thought he was staying on the field. Wouldn't want to leave after a really big, hard-fought 3-yard gain like that one. So Karan Higdon, once again, the lone back. We said at the top of the broadcast, Chris Evans is out for today. Missed last week as well. We haven't seen any True Wilson so far. Higdon, the lone back. Play action. Shea has tons of time, and a wide-open Higdon hits him in stride, and is a really good hit, forces him out of bounds at the 29-yard line. That looked to be J.R. Pace of the Northwestern Wildcats. That was a really good hit, forcing Higdon out of bounds. Still a big gain, 21 yards on that one. And that's the best a play call I think has looked so far.
And Sean McCune should be taking notes. That's how you catch a ball on the sideline and extend a drive.
So that does bring the Wolverines already into field goal territory. It is pretty windy right now, so
well, it is the Windy City.
Good point.
And we're getting a stoppage.
It's an official's timeout. Not sure what the holdup was, but they're going to take their time. That's A-okay. We will keep you updated.
With down on the sideline. Is that Eubanks, I think? We got a Nico Eubanks down on the sideline.
Yeah, it looks
out by the medical team.
Good catch. It looks like Eubanks is down along the sideline. We hope he can get ready to be back as soon as possible, really. 10-10 to go. Michigan, for the first time, is inside the Northwestern 30.
And they've got Ambry Thomas lined up in wideout. Look for a potential jet sweep here.
Good catch, Teddy. Karan Higdon way behind Shea Patterson, who's under the center. It's a reverse a bit. Down with Peoples-Jones, has some room to run. He's got big men in front of him. Tiptoeing around the 5, forced out at the 4-yard line. What a play call. It was a fake reverse, really. I'm not exactly sure what to call it. Blake Gallagher, the linebacker, finally ends the play, but oh boy, did he have some big guys in front of him, and John Runyon and Jawan Bushell-Beatty.
That even fooled me. I was watching Higdon the whole way. I didn't realize Peoples-Jones even had the ball until you called it. Fantastic play fake there. Great play call by Harbaugh. And
Peoples-Jones' leading blockers looked about twice his size. They really cleared the way. He's a fast guy, but he was very willing to wait behind him. We now have, from 1st and goal at the 5, the I formation. Ben Mason in with Karan Higdon directly behind him. Perry in motion. The handoff to Higdon, who has space. Touchdown, Michigan! And the crowd erupts here in Evanston, Illinois. that kind of helps us evaluate just exactly what the split is in the crowd. And I would argue maybe 55-45 in favor of the Wolverines.
It's definitely become a little bit more balanced as this game's drawn on. But definitely you can sense that this is a crowd that's leaning more towards the Wolverines and the Wildcats. And after that drive, they have every reason to be excited right now.
And that was a quick drive, 3 minutes and 4 seconds taken off the play clock. And Michigan has to go quick here because they're in a hole. Once they're done patting themselves on the back for this one, they got to go right back out there and play some defense. It's 17-7. You wouldn't think after the highlight of the day for the Wolverines coming with 9:14 to go in the second quarter that Michigan would be down 17-7.
Not at all, but after that drive, they definitely resemble the Michigan team that is ranked 14th in the country right now. The play calling was creative. They were giving the ball to Higdon. The running and passing game. Ben Mason in a short yardage situation. I'm not really sure why they didn't give it to him earlier on that 4th and 1 from the 49. But I don't know, they had a swagger about them on that drive in a way that we haven't seen in this game so far.
They really did. Opened up the playbook quite a bit. Found Karan Higdon and Donovan Peoples-Jones in space. So that's going to bring both teams really improving their rushing statistics. Michigan now up to 59 yards rushing, 25 of those belonging to Donovan Peoples-Jones, who has not been able to get involved in the passing game beside that first play of the game. Meanwhile, Northwestern still only at around 27 yards, but they had 11 going into the previous drive. A big note here, too, it's going to be Jake Moody's first kickoff of the game. And Michigan can maybe pin Northwestern back with their worst field position of the game. It'd have to be a pretty good return to prevent that.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see how Michigan's defense is going to respond when Northwestern's put in less than ideal field position, because we've seen throughout the season when teams get towards midfield, Michigan's defense has tended to break, not bend. But when they're coming in off of kickoff returns, we've seen the defense is more aggressive. They get off the field quickly and efficiently. Wondering if we're going to see more of the same after this.
It will be a mystery for the Michigan defensive coordinators and coaches to solve. It's still really, I mean, taking the words out of my mouth, how well Northwestern has played up to this juncture. They're going to, in all likelihood, have their worst field position of the game. That will give Michigan's defense a bit more room behind their backs to slow them down. But so far, so perfect for the Wildcats. Really their first slip-up of the game at this point.
And you were about to say so far, so perfect for the Wolverines instead of the Wildcats. The way this game's played out so far, we thought the roles were going to be reversed, as we've said multiple times. The Wildcats look confident. They're running their offense quickly and efficiently. Their defense has been incredible. I'm curious to see if they're able to maintain that momentum that they've created, or if this Wolverine touchdown is going to help reaffirm the roles both these teams came into the games with.
And the white numbers and pants on Clayton Thorson are probably as clean as they can be. I think he's only gone to the ground once, and that was after he decided to run with the ball on 2nd and short. I mean, he really has had no pressure in his face at all. Jake Moody now back for his first kickoff of the game. I'm sure he was hoping to get involved earlier. That is a good kick and to be fair caught in the end zone. So this is going to be first and 10 from their own 25. That's going to be Northwestern's worst field position to start by about 20 yards.
And the fact that that's the worst field position they're starting with kind of just summarizes this game, Daniel.
Yeah, it really does. I think field position might be the single biggest factor at this point. Michigan starting all their drives at the 25, 30, 15, 16, and really bad. Northwestern, on the other hand, has been starting at the 45, 49, 48, now 25. Maybe that will signify a turning of the tide in this one.
And I really think Michigan's corners, especially Lavert Hill, really need to step up this drive here. You saw he got flagged for that pass interference on 3rd down on the previous Northwestern drive. Been beaten over the middle by Bowman a few times. He needs to be better in coverage, or this is going to continue to be the same old story for this Wolverine defense.
And Michigan, really the only team in upset threat as of right now. Of course, Clemson dodged the bullet earlier today with less than a minute left, they took the lead against the Syracuse Orange and won that one. But
yeah, and my condolences to my good friends Scott Greenblatt and Oliver Coyle. That was a really tough loss, but they really showed that Clemson could be a vulnerable team going forward.
And Syracuse,
without Trevor Lawrence, I don't think I see them as a playoff contender.
Syracuse takes their first loss of the season, which is pretty good at this point, and they might get ranked after losing because they really notified teams that they are a good team right now.
And especially with that 4-1 record, I could definitely see them in maybe 25 or 24 in next week's polls. Of course, if Michigan plays the way that they've continued to play, I don't think they're going to be in the polls after this.
I'd have
to
agree.
A nightmarish first half for them.
I'd have to agree. Michigan now inheriting the torch for ranked team in upset alert. That was Clemson basically all morning. Now,
and we thought they were going to pull it out too.
Yeah, we really did for Syracuse for a second, but listening to that one on the radio while headed up here. But right now, I think all the eyes across the country, that's really by far and away the most exciting score. Really the best games today are all saved for later. Notre Dame, Stanford, and Penn State, Ohio State. 3 of those 4 teams I just said will play Michigan at some point this year. That's where really all the national attention is right now, but for later today. Right now, though, I think a lot of people are following this one and wondering what is going on. Well, I'll tell you, Clayton Thorson has all day to throw, and his throws have looked good.
They've looked fantastic, and this offensive line has done an amazing job keeping him up front.
The offense finally takes the field, and Thorson is in the shotgun. I think he's only been under center a handful of times today. Takes the snap a bit high, hands it off to Moten, who has to run for his life around the left side, but ends up picking up 4 yards. Looked like that could have been a loss, but Moten is able to escape to the outside. Josh Metellus came in diving late in that one, and now he is rolling around in the ground in pain. Looked like he was grabbing his wrist.
Yeah, he looks like he's in a lot of pain right now.
The Michigan trainers all sprint out to go attend to him. Yeah, that is not a good sight to see for a Michigan defense already down a starter in Khaleke Hudson, who is suspended for the first half of this one. That might be what the Michigan defense needs. They have yet to force a punt. That should tell you something. Brad Hawkins is who we have seen in relief for Josh Metellus so far this year. Metellus, of course, getting ejected early in the Notre Dame game on the first day of this month. Stadium kind of quiet right now, waiting to see what happens with Josh Metellus. 8:58 to play in this one. 2nd and 7 from their own 28-yard line for the Wildcats, who do lead by 10, 17-7. For those of you just joining, it is a pretty shocking score, so I'm gonna have to keep repeating it for anyone just finding out now. Metellus is lying on the far 30-yard line. I'm certain he could get up and walk if he chose to, but he does seem to be in pain, grabbing at his arm. Jim Harbaugh talking to him right now. He's getting up. It looked like it. Yep, getting helped up right now. Metellus.
And we're hearing boos from the crowd as Metellus gets up.
I really have no idea what's going on. That's a really lowbrow act here. It might be, I mean, this is a half Michigan, half Northwestern crowd right now. I don't know who is booing him, but Josh Metellus walking off under his own power. I think it's an upper body injury. He's talking to the trainers. We might see him back. Doesn't look really something we're going to have to find out more about. He is going up to the bench. I don't think he's headed to the locker room just yet, as he sits down on the bench right now. It's possible he just dinged up his arm and wanted to take a play off. We will let you know when he re-enters the game. So they're taking a bit of time to let play restart here.
And it looks like Metellus is walking off with some members of the Michigan medical staff.
You're right. People in both purple and blue are walking him away from the locker room. I don't really know where exactly he's headed. Might be going to get an MRI maybe. It looked like that could be a potential broken wrist.
Now let's see how Brad Hawkins reacts to really his first true action.
They're playing him
Wolverines
deep
here.
as the safety, really keeping the lid on the Northwestern offense. Thorson with Moten to his right, drops back, looks to pass, doesn't have that much time, breaking free to run. Can he get to at least the line of scrimmage? Yes, he can. Josh Ross with a punishing hit forces him out of bounds 2 yards before the first down marker.
And Rashawn Gary nearly had him for a sack there, but Thorson able to evade him, and now it's 3rd and 1, a position that the Wildcats have been very familiar with today.
Yeah, 3rd and short has been a real winner for them. I'll tell you though, Clayton Thorson is not going to be looking to run anytime soon. Josh Ross laid down a perfect hit, and now we have a Wildcat formation. Riley Lees is the quarterback, and Thorson is out wide as a receiver. Lees keeps it, and he picks up the first down marker. That trick play works. Not really a trick play as much of a gadget play. It's a direct snap. And I guess that's pretty appropriate for the Northwestern Wildcats to run the Wildcat.
I guess so.
So that Wildcat picks up the first down, sets up 1st and 10 from the 38. Brad Hawkins still out there, as you'd expect.
And last time we saw Metellus was walking off the field.
Thorson, after double fit. Oh, Thorson has to sling that one away. That has to be intentional grounding. I don't know why the flag wasn't thrown. I mean, he was halfway to the ground as it was one of the defensive backs who came forward. I think Tyree Cannell nearly got Thorson on the sack. Very wise choice to throw the ball away, but Michigan fans are very reasonably booing. That was very obviously an intentional grounding. That ball landed about 20 feet away from the sideline.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say about that, Daniel. He was 3/4 of the way to the ground.
So Thorson now all by himself in the shotgun. And they bring in a running back who is hit immediately, Chase Winovich into the backfield. Yeah, you can say that again. That looks to be Solomon Vault, who has really had a pretty good day now, getting more time of late. But that was not a great start. I mean, 3rd and 13, he's lucky to come away with only a 3-yard loss. That's, I think, the 3rd or 4th time today. Winovich was in the backfield before really the ball was even handed off. I don't know how he did that. Really, it appears to be that every now and then Chase Winovich is almost just quantum tunneling into the backfield. It's been marvelous to watch him play so far.
And look for Flynn Nagel here on 3rd and long. He's Thorson's favorite target with 21 catches on the season.
Thorson drops back to pass, has time, targets Flynn Nagel, but that pass is way overthrown. A flag is thrown, and I don't get that one.
Really?
That ball was a bit uncatchable.
Call a PI on that?
Well, it might be holding. If it's holding before the play, then that's a very fair call. We'll see what the referees say it is. Going to be first down Northwestern either way. Michigan's defense cannot get off the field. Lavert Hill was in on coverage. That ball was uncatchable, so I would think it's a holding call. I trust these referees. I think they're going to get it right with the holding.
And
if that is,
Jim Harbaugh is irate right now.
That cannot be pass interference. That ball was uncatchable. It's the right call, holding. That will be an automatic first down, but only 5 yards, so that is a bit better for the Michigan defense, but they still have not gotten off the field. Back-to-back 3rd downs, they can't quite do it. And I don't know if maybe Flynn Nagel would have been able to get downfield and catch that ball if Lavert Hill had not held him. But that ball was very overthrown. Clayton Thorson now, once again, has a lot of time. That ball's tipped in the air. Tyree Cannell tries to get to it, cannot make the interception. 2nd and 10.
Oh, and that would have been a huge play for the Wolverines to turn the tide and get off the field. Cannell just not able to catch up to it in time.
A short screen play ricochets off the defender's arm. That was Lavert Hill who tipped it.
Trying to atone for his previous mistake on the last play.
Once again, Thorson in the shotgun. That's the only position he really plays from. Hands it off to Vault. Vault is swallowed up only 3 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, bringing up 3rd and long. Northwestern has converted all of their 3rd downs, yet to punt.
And guess who made that tackle?
Who
Daniel,
else?
It was Chase Winovich.
Chase Winovich, indeed. I should say the one third down Northwestern failed to pick up was 3rd and 26 from their own 27-yard line. That was about unconvertible. Chase Winovich is the man to watch on this one. 3rd and 8. Can the Michigan defense get off the field for the first time all day? 6:10 and ticking to go in this one. 17-7, Wildcats lead. Low snap. Thorson has time, has all day. No! That was Winovich who made him duck, and then I believe Quiddy Pay gets in for the sack. Quiddy Pay, a 3-star recruit with a 5-star play on that one.
And Jeff Berkowitz loves it.
Michigan, for the first time all day, gets off the field.
And remember, Pay came in for Rashawn Gary, who is a 5-star recruit. Pay looking the part of Rashawn Gary. That incredible sack.
Great point, and for Wolverine fans, it's a wonderful sight here in Evanston. For the first time today, we're going to see Jake Collins. Donovan Peoples-Jones standing at his own 25, looking to give Michigan some pretty good field position. They have not had that at all so far today. Punt is underway. Collins running towards his own right. Peoples-Jones, I mean. Makes a couple moves, is running toward the sideline. A spin move, he's still up, and he has room. The punter is blocked, and he is eventually tripped up around the 37.
And there's a flag back there, Daniel. I think this is coming back.
It looked like a good return, but that really, if you can't start running right away, I don't think you should ever return a punt, because it's more likely there's some sort of block in the back or a hold, and the play, you end up losing yards. Only return punts if you've got a lot of room. Peoples-Jones needs to learn this. That's something Michigan fans have been really up in arms about lately, is the fact that Peoples-Jones doesn't have a good sense of when to return.
You're absolutely right. I think we're making progress, though. He was able to catch that one. Something
Indeed.
we haven't really seen too often.
If Peoples-Jones calls for the fair catch, that's 1st and 10 from the 27. Instead, the ball's going to be placed back pretty far here. I didn't get the call exactly on where the block in the back occurred, but Michigan's going to have a very far field. Trying to spoke out where that line of scrimmage
I believe it's going to be at the 12, Daniel.
So 88 yards to go. That's a lesson for all you youth punt returners back home.
Oh, and a big development here on the sideline. Josh Metellus is jogging back to the Michigan sideline. It appears he's going to be okay and will come back onto the field for Michigan's next defensive drive.
And gets a standing ovation from some Michigan fans. He does look to be nursing that right arm, which he appeared to injure earlier on. It looked like a wrist injury. That's what he was grasping the second he hit the ground. He's sitting on the bench right now. Well, he's a defensive player, so we're not going to expect him yet. But he is on the sideline with his helmet on. That is a good sign, as always.
Great sign.
Hate to see players leave the game due to injury. So 5:05 to go in the half. Michigan would ideally really burn up the rest of the clock in this one and get it closer going into the half. Northwestern does receive the opening kickoff of the half. Michigan's dug a pretty big hole. Karan Higdon with some blockers downfield, running to the right. He's got space. There is a flag on the field, though. Don't expect this one to count, as Karan Higdon is still up on his feet. Gets to the 42, but this one is probably coming back. Shea Patterson is looking at that flag and it has not moved yet. Oh, and the referees now are pointing toward Northwestern. Shea Patterson is fist pumping and running down the field. I think he was in the same booth as you and me, Teddy. He thought that was going to be against the Wolverines.
Yep.
It's
and
against
the crowd, as you can hear, erupting
against the Wildcats. So that play is gonna stand. They're not gonna call the illegal hands to the face here. So,
and Higdon showing fight on this one. Wasn't able to show it on that 4th and short. This time, literally dragging a defender as he's falling backwards to pick up about 5 or 6 extra yards. Tremendous fight from the Wolverines' bell cow.
And I think that's why this game's gonna really be turned. Higdon, who could have been tackled 10 yards earlier, really drags 3 different defenders with him for small gains. They hand it off to Higdon again. Not going to have near the same luck this time. Fights
Turning
forward.
His legs forward.
Indeed, turns an ugly-looking play. The defensive back met him right away. Montre Hartage is able to take him with him for a 3-yard gain. But that last play, that went for a 40-yard gain. That's going to bring Michigan up to 89 yards rushing on the day. Now 92 with that carry. Michigan has really had their run game come to life as they're already on the Northwestern side of the field.
And we've got Collins and Peoples-Jones both lined up to the left of the formation right now.
Higdon right behind Shea, as he has been so far in this drive, and he is met immediately, makes a spin move to maybe recoup the loss to only maybe 3 yards, but John Runyon got pushed back immediately. I believe that was Joe Gazzio who was able to push Runyon right back into Higdon. So 3rd and 10, 3:41 remaining. Michigan would really rather not give the ball back to Northwestern with the way their offense has played. It's kind of no man's land. Michigan would have to gain a good amount of yards to consider kicking or going for it on 4th down. They're 0 for 1, of course, on 4th downs today. 3rd and 10 from the 48. 4 receivers wide. Karan Higdon to Shea Patterson's right. Patterson has some time to throw. A short crossing right to Nico Collins, who has to fight for the 1st down. Can't get there. It's going to be 4th down and decision time for Jim Harbaugh. Shea Patterson looks intent on staying on the field.
And I think with the way this defense has played over the past couple series, I think you got to take this risk. You have the momentum. You got to keep it there.
Northwestern is going to receive the ball to start the 2nd half. Michigan does not want to be in any worse of a hole. This is a huge dice roll. If Michigan does not pick this up, they could be down as much as 17 while kicking to start the 2nd half. I don't think this is an understatement to say this is by a wide margin the most important play of the game. 4th and 3.
Absolutely, Daniel. And Karan Higdon motioning now to the right sideline.
So 5 receivers set. Shea Patterson all by himself, and someone moved.
I think Northwestern jumped. Is this going to be a fresh set?
I am anticipating false start. I don't think Joe Gaziano would just run offside like that.
And the Northwestern sideline celebrating. I think you're right, Daniel. False start on the Wolverines.
So 4th and 8 now, and the Michigan punting squad's going to have to come on. That might have cost Michigan the game. I'll be honest with you right there.
Oh, remember we have 32 minutes to play. Let's not jump that far, but yeah, this could have been one of the biggest plays of the game, and now we don't even get to see what would have been run. Michigan is just gonna punt this, be a little conservative, and yeah, they cost themselves. There's no other way to say it. And to make matters worse, Daniel, your beloved Nebraska Cornhuskers are down by 20 points to Purdue in a quick score update.
So 27-7 in that one. Michigan could be in a bigger hole. Huskers at home. Adrian Martinez is playing. I don't really know what to say about that one. Huskers are in the red zone, to say the very least. But to the game right in front of us, Michigan, really, it hasn't been so many big errors. It's just they've been outplayed by Northwestern.
And field position has been the name of the game. Michigan's had poor field position all day. Northwestern's had great field position all day. And look who's on top right now.
So
it really tells the story.
On the flip side here, that false start could have saved Michigan on one end. Should Michigan have not picked that up, they would be surrendering really good field position with only 2 minutes and 29 seconds to go. Now Will Hart will attempt to punt Northwestern into a hole here. Riley Lee standing at his own 10-yard line. Will Hart standing at his own 40 to punt this one away.
And if you remember, he had the 3rd down pickup last drive in a Wildcat formation.
A low snap, but Will Hart gets it away. This one is pretty good, but Riley Lees is coming forward, and that is batted toward the 5-yard line. That is a phenomenal punt coverage. Michigan keeping themselves in the game, giving Northwestern a very long ways to drive with only 2:15 to go in the half. Michigan's goal right now has to be only trailing by 10 entering the 2nd half, when they will have to kick off. It does not look good right now for the Wolverines, but they prevented it from looking worse.
Absolutely, and really Will Hart's been one of the best punters in the entire country. Another fantastic boot from him.
So 1st and 10 from their own 5-yard line. We've talked how perhaps the story of the game is field position. Northwestern now with the worst field position of any team by 9 yards. So Thorson takes the field. He's under center for maybe the first time in 10 minutes. Hands it off to Monten the 4th. Moten the 4th is able to carry forward for about 4 yards. That's a good way to give themselves some room to run a more shotgun approach like they like to. Michigan calls timeout. So they're interested in maybe getting the ball back and making this a 1-score game before halftime.
And I think that's the way you've got to think about it. Your offense has started to click in a way that they couldn't in the 1st quarter. Got Northwestern pinned pretty deep. I think especially since you're going to be giving the ball back to Northwestern at the start of the second half. You want to try and give yourself every chance you can to try and get points on the board before they go to the locker room.
Indeed, but more importantly is to keep points off the board. It's a two-score game right now. It would be really tragic for the Wolverines to give up another score and then had to kick off. The defense has a heavy task in front of them. 2nd and 6. They have 91 yards to pay for the Wildcat offense.
Yeah, I think the key here is defense just has to be disciplined. We've seen holding and pass interference penalties on each of the past 2 drives on 3rd downs. Wolverines can't afford another one.
So Thorson now back where he likes to be in the shotgun, standing at his own 4, hands it off to Moten again, and guess who that was? Chase Winovich wraps up Moten from behind, restricting him to a 2-yard gain, bringing up 3rd and 4, and I would guess Michigan will take another timeout here. They do. 2:02 to go in this one. And that's a bit risky. If Northwestern does pick up the 3rd and medium here, then Michigan is in hot water for calling those timeouts.
Completely agree. And I said just before, on 3rd down, Michigan's corners have to be disciplined. We saw the holding call on, I believe it was Lavert Hill on the previous drive, and then pass interference on Lavert Hill 2 drives prior. The entire defense has to be disciplined. They've got to be physical. They have to do everything they can to get off the field and get off the field cleanly.
They really do. 3rd and 4 right now. I mean, Northwestern has picked up 4 of their 6 3rd downs, and really it feels like more.
I completely agree. Honestly, even though we know Pay got the sack on the last drive, I find it hard to believe that was on 3rd down. It feels like every time they've been in these 3rd down situations, they've picked them up.
So 3rd and 4, the Michigan fans getting loud right now. A lot of them here in Evanston. It's going to be another handoff, conservative play call. Moten rushing toward the sideline. Devin Bush forces him out of bounds about a yard before the line of scrimmage.
And that's key, Daniel. The Wolverines get to save their fun. Oh, wait, no, they don't have any more timeouts. My bad. But it does stop the clock, which means the Wolverines will have a 2-minute drill to try and get on the board before the half ends.
That's a very good point, Teddy. I failed to consider that. That is pretty big. Moten made the right thing. He really needed to think about picking up the 1st down before anything else. That was I've really loved the play calling from Pat Fitzgerald and his staff so far today, but that was a really conservative play calling right there.
And look at the punt formation for Michigan here. We have Josh Metellus and Devin Bush in to try and block the punt. Not something we usually see.
They're selling out for the block, but Peoples-Jones is moving backward. No, it's Ronnie Bell actually returning. Has to catch that while basically walking out of bounds at the 38. That's a perfect punt. Goes out of bounds right as it's about to hit the ground.
But the Wolverines do get good field position, which has been a foreign idea to them for the first 28 minutes of this game.
And Michigan fans a lot of Michigan fans were asking for Donovan Peoples-Jones to lose his punt returning responsibilities. That might have been the straw that broke the back right there, as Donovan Peoples-Jones makes kind of a low reward, high risk punt return, ends up resulting in his team getting called with a block in the back penalty and hurts field position.
Yeah, DPJ probably still would have tried to run that out even when he was out of bounds.
So Ronnie Bell might be the punt returner from here on out. Shea Patterson now under shotgun, 1:50 to go, and the Wolverines have 61 yards to pay dirt. Patterson drops back. He has time. Pump fakes. Still has time to throw and finds Peoples-Jones down the field, out of bounds.
That was actually Nico Collins targeted on that one.
It was a really good throw, but it was about 2 yards out of bounds. But Shea Patterson had all day to throw there. That has not been the norm.
And a curious target there. Throwing it to the sideline where Collins had almost no room, trying to get him to go up like a basketball player, get his feet down. Instead, just throwing it to the sideline, costing the Wolverines.
It really has been just fantastic coverage from Northwestern's defensive backs. No one has played Michigan's wide receivers so closely at all today. So Shea Patterson now under center again. Still looks to throw. Is going to run for it. He has room. There's a flag on the field, though. This will probably come back. But if it stands, Shea Patterson is out of bounds at the Northwestern 46.
And one thing to remember on this drive, Daniel, Northwestern has 2 timeouts. If they get the ball back, they could easily try and march down the field and add more points on the board. Something to keep in mind with Michigan's play calling.
So 1:35 to go, and Michigan is going to be looking at 2nd and 20. John Runyon called with the holding.
Yeah, and that's a super easy call. He was holding
Looks like
Ernest Brown IV, filling in for Joe Gaziano, who's been a thorn in the Wolverine side all half long.
Got a lot of force on this team.
That's true.
Very Northwestern of them. So, 2nd and 20, Michigan's in a big hole. They've had good coverage. They've had good pass blocking for Shea Patterson up to this point on this drive, which is something you cannot usually say. Patterson once again in shotgun, looks to throw. It's a screen to Nico Collins, who has blockers ahead of him, storming down the field up to the 46-yard line.
And that picks up a big chunk of yards that they lost on the previous play.
That's going to go down as a 17-yard gain, setting up 3rd and 3. That was a really fantastic play there for the Wolverines.
And I was going to say, before they got the snap up, I was thinking maybe they'd go screen pass, try and pick up a big chunk. That's exactly what they did.
So Michigan in hurry up, 1:12, 1:11 left in this first half. Shea Patterson under center, Higdon to his left. Takes the snap, has some time to throw, finds Collins at the sideline. He caught the ball, but out of bounds. He landed out of bounds with that. It was a good athletic move to get away from the defensive back and beat the DB to the ball. However,
I don't know about that one, Daniel. We may need to watch a replay. It looked like he may have gotten a foot down.
I thought that was pretty cut and clear that Collins landed out of bounds. It's going to be 1 minute exactly on the clock. Will Hart to punt. Injured player down for the Wildcats. And he's on the opposite side of the field, but I think that is Nate Hall. Yep, 32, Nate Hall. So
and he and Patty Fisher have combined to be one of the most fearsome linebacking duos in the entire Big Ten Conference. They've been sensational all year. One of the few bright spots for this defense.
And it was a disappointing start to the year for the Wildcats, but you know, it's a clean slate for them in the Big Ten. They had a bye week last week when most teams started their Big Ten play. So they could be off to a 1-0 start in the Big Ten. And, you know, in the Big Ten West, that's, you know, getting a win over Michigan. Wisconsin has to go into Ann Arbor in 2 weeks. That's a big head start. So
yeah, I guess when the students come in and start their year, Northwestern starts their year new as well.
Good point.
A completely different team.
Really has been a new school year, new team for the Wildcat players. They hadn't been going to class. I don't know. Seems like going to class is helping them, I guess.
And this is a really curious decision here. Northwestern taking a timeout. The clock stopped. I'm not really sure what factored into that decision there. Yeah,
there's a minute left. They have 2 timeouts. They probably figured they're not going to have great field position, so they might want to avoid. They might not be thinking to score on this drive, but you know, you're going to get the ball to start the next half. I think they got the number 14 team in the country coming into their place. Now's the time to really step on their throats.
Yeah, and Will Hart, of course, got his last punt inside the 5. Let's see where he can pin the Wildcats. Of course, neither of us expect him to do much with it, but.
So Riley Lee standing at his own 10-yard line. And the referees, will this punt ever be kicked? I don't know.
Another timeout for the Wildcats. What are they doing?
I guess they've communicated to the Wolverines they have no intentions of going for points at the end of this half.
I mean, couldn't they just like shout it from across the sideline? It's 1 minute. Just get the ball, take a few knees. To go to the locker room.
I fail to see the point in calling timeouts before punts, unless they unless they think they see Michigan looking at a fake punt.
Can you imagine?
That would really be something, but I don't see it. If they did that, I'd have to give props to Harbaugh for at least not going down without a fight. I don't really get. Maybe they're trying to ice the punter. That timeout was called right before the punt was underway.
I mean, I don't see Blake O'Neal out there, so I'm not really sure what they're trying to do.
Low snap again, but Will Hart gets it off just fine. I'd expect Northwestern to bring more in coverage. Riley Lees is going to call a fair catch on this one. That one bounces and rolls into the end zone.
Just snuck in there.
That ends up pausing halfway through the end zone, so a little bit less leg on that one, and maybe Michigan's pinned Northwestern back at their own 1. But I don't know if that matters because Northwestern made it pretty clear with using up the last of their timeouts before the punt. They have no intentions of letting this one go, of moving the ball here. I would be willing to make a wager that this is going to be 2 kneel downs to end the half.
And I'd have to agree with you, Daniel. I think you're up by 10 points against the 14th ranked team in the country. Just play it safe here. Take this into the half with a 10-point lead.
Now I step on their throats. The offense hasn't looked like they're going to turn it over yet so
Wait,
far.
actually,
well, Thorson,
it doesn't look like they're in knee formation.
But they aren't
which
looking.
Makes this even more peculiar.
Receivers are stacked on the left side, which would indicate they're not looking to run a deep route. This is really bizarre. Thorson does look to throw, plays a short under route to one of his favorite targets in Ramud Chikau Bowman.
He's been everywhere today.
And they had no timeouts to stop the clock. That play that was before the line to gain. So 2nd and 4. Northwestern is in no hurry right now. They might let this clock run out.
Is this just stat padding for a fantasy college football league or something? Like, I don't know.
It might be. And now
I don't know what's going on.
Their offense is now heading out of the back of the north end zone.
That's too many men on the field. Why aren't they throwing the flag?
I think they're letting this one go.
Oh, kid.
So that'll do it for us from the first half here from the banks of Lake Michigan.
And Michigan really needs to step it up in the second half. That was absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, the school that actually is right on Lake Michigan has looked a lot better. So that's going to end the half. 17-7 Wildcats. That's been a real shocker, Teddy.
I don't even think the Wildcats fan base saw this one coming.
So 20 minutes on the scoreboard now, counting down to the second half, where Jeremy Parks and Lucas Vargas will take over the call. We thank you for listening and look forward to delivering you the second half of this game after the break.
Welcome back inside Ryan Field here in Evanston, Illinois for WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football. Michigan and the Northwestern Wildcats. I'm Jeremy Parks alongside Lucas Vargas, here to bring you the second half action. Daniel Thompson still in the booth with us here as our spotter for the half. Michigan coming out of the locker room with a surprising 10-point deficit to the Northwestern Wildcats, a 1-2 team entering this game. Michigan coming in ranked number 14 in the country. We're just a few minutes before that second half kickoff. But Lucas, your thoughts on the first half and where Jim Harbaugh, Don Brown, and the rest of the Michigan coaching staff can work on some adjustments with the team in the locker room as they come out and try and make a comeback here.
Michigan's second road game of the season. Michigan's second road game starting with a very slow first half, coming out of halftime with a double-digit deficit. And it all started with the inability to move the ball effectively past midfield. A lot of offensive drives stalling out right around that area. Michigan is actually doing a decent job moving the ball initially, but once they get around the 50-yard line, they are not able to execute very well. Defensively, Michigan, we all know they prefer press coverage, and that style of coverage does lend itself to more penalties, but even more so, a lot of Clayton Thorson's completions have been off receivers getting an inside release, which cannot happen when you're doing press coverage. You have to force the receiver to the outside and not allow him back inside. Clayton Thorson's had a lot of success hitting his receivers.
The offensive line for Northwestern has been giving Thorson a good amount of time in the pocket. Michigan hoping with the return of Kalik Hudson in the second half. Remember, he was suspended for the first half after being ejected for the second game in a row in the second half for targeting last week in Ann Arbor. He will be back trying to utilize that Viper linebacker position and put a little more pressure on the Wildcats man under center. But you also mentioned, Lucas, Michigan stalling out at midfield. A couple key opportunities for the Wolverines in this game that have been stymied by penalties. 6 penalties in the first half, all of them big ones, a total of 65 yards worth for Michigan off the flags. Meanwhile, Northwestern much more disciplined, only 2 penalties for 25 yards. Michigan, however, despite the 10-point deficit, is outgaining Northwestern 154 yards to 146 yards. They're pretty much even on all accounts. It's in the pass game, Northwestern and Clayton Thorson 109 yards, and Michigan on the ground 89 yards. A lot of that coming from Karan Higdon, and then a big trick play reverse sweep to Donovan Peoples-Jones back in the first half. But Lucas, it seems like Michigan's offense was starting to click a little bit more before the half. What can you look to for this offense to get things moving even a little bit more and maybe try and put some more points up on the board here early in the third quarter?
Something that I've been a huge supporter of all season for the Michigan offense has been quick hitters, not necessarily needing to go after that home run ball right off the bat. I think they have a lot of athletes that if you just get the ball to them in space, they can make something happen. Shea Patterson, very accurate passer too, lends himself to that ability to hit receivers where they can make a catch and then make a move. I expect Michigan to get their receivers the ball quickly in space and let them get something done.
And Shea Patterson has not been bad in the first half, 7 for 12, 65 yards. He had a couple really nicely thrown balls on the sideline that just barely tailed the receivers out of bounds, especially one to Nico Collins right towards the end of the first half there.
And another thing to keep an eye on, I think, is some of the injuries maybe that might affect this Michigan team. Josh Metellus left briefly in the first half, came back near the end. It looked like with a club on his hand, so perhaps a hand injury. We'll see how that affects him. Also, Donovan Peoples-Jones did go to the locker room at the end of the first half. We saw Ronnie Bell replace him on the punt return team. We're having a couple speculations about that, but I guess Peoples-Jones' injury may answer that question. And Rashawn Gary has looked a little bit hampered by a shoulder injury, looking like he's kind of had a dead arm walking off the sideline sometimes. We'll see how that affects him as well. But this is the Michigan team. It needs to come out, take care of business. They'll start on defense. Need to have a good kickoff, establish field position, and let the defense get back to what they've been doing the last 3 weeks at home.
As you said, it's going to be Northwestern's ball here to get things underway in the second half. Jake Moody stepping to the tee for the Wolverines to put that ball down. He's got men to his left and right. In the back for Northwestern, Kyrick McGowan standing a couple steps off of his goal line, as well as Flynn Nagel, the slot wide receiver, standing pretty much even to McGowan on the 5-yard line. As the Wolverines are set for the kickoff, we've got a fresh half of football here as Michigan tries to mount a comeback in Evanston. Moody's kick tailing over towards the sideline. Fair catch called for at the 7-yard line by McGowan. and it'll be Northwestern's ball at their own 25 to get things started here in the third quarter.
Fair catch called for, and of course the new rule this year in college football where fair catch automatically brings the ball out to the 25-yard line. Been used a lot by returners this season to establish decent field position for the offense.
Don Brown, the fiery defensive coordinator for the Wolverines, has been at pretty much every one of his stops, one of the best in the country. We'll see what halftime adjustments he has made with his team in the locker room.
Looks like Rashawn Gary will be out there to start the second half, along with Chase Winovich, who has had a very nice game so far.
Thorson will take his first snap from the shotgun with the running back Moten to his right. He hands off to Moten, who has a little bit of room on the right-hand side. Breaks free for about 4 yards, where he is met by Brian Monet, shy of the 30-yard line. And it'll be a gain of mark it 3, 2nd and 7 for Northwestern here.
Good hit by Josh Ross as well to ensure no extra yards after initial contact.
Empty backfield for Thorson, who's in the shotgun. He motions Moten over to the left side, takes the snap, is looking right immediately, fires a quick throw out to Nagel, who breaks a couple tackles, has a little bit of room. He's got a first down and then some across the 40-yard line and down to the 42. A big gain for the Wildcats on 2nd and 7 as they pick up about 13 yards.
That's what I'm talking about with the inside release by Flynn Nagel, able to get down to the middle of the hashes, make a catch.
And the Wildcats running up tempo, another handoff. No, Thornton keeps it. He is stopped for a loss of about 1. Faked the handoff, a little read option there. Tried to take the ball himself, and he was met in the backfield. It'll be 2nd and 12 for Northwestern. A nice stop on the play by the Wolverines.
Carlo Kemp, nicely done by reading the quarterback, knowing his responsibility is making sure the quarterback does hand it off, and then making the play for a 1 or 2 yard loss.
A name that we haven't seen too much in the first half, Flynn Nagel, as he's back in the slot again, and it's a handoff to Moten on 2nd down, and he gets a good chunk of yardage, and it's going to be a very manageable 3rd down for Northwestern as the talented running back John Moten stepping into the running back 1 role for the Wildcats this week. Picks up about 9 yards on 2nd down. It will be 3rd and 3. Michigan trying to get a big stop here. The big stops, Lucas, have seemed to eluded them throughout the first half.
Northwestern's had a lot of success with the quarterback run on 3rd down. 3rd and short, look for Clayton Thorson or Moten to look to carry the ball.
They've got a tight end in motion to the right. Takes the snap, pressure into the backfield, and he is dropped by guess who? Chase Winovich.
Chase Winovich having a phenomenal game, taking leadership for the Michigan defense, coming unblocked off the edge. That's a guy you have to account for if you're the Northwestern offensive line.
Winovich threw unabated, and that is exactly what Don Brown wants to see from this defense, a little bit more pressure.
Good news for Michigan fans is it's Peoples-Jones back punt returning, so the injury must not affect him too much.
That'll end the drive. Jake Collins back for the punt, almost blocked by the Wolverines. However, he gets it off. It's short, a low line drive. Peoples-Jones tries to cut right and then falls down at the 26-yard line, and it'll be average starting field position for the Wolverines, who get a very important stop on the opening drive of the half on defense. Now going to try and piece together something on offense to cut into this 10-point Wildcats lead with 12:23 remaining in the third quarter here on WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football, the Michigan Student Radio Network.
I do want to say one thing on that punt return for Donovan Peoples-Jones is that even though he maybe took a 2-yard loss or so on the actual return, he just fell down, took no damage to himself, and more importantly, did not allow an opportunity for a block in the back.
As Michigan will line up with Shea Patterson out of the shotgun. He's got Karan Higdon directly behind his keister. Split receivers left and right. The handoff on 1st down. Higdon busts through the hole, breaks a couple of tackles. Good yardage after first contact. He crosses the 30 and out to the 32, maybe the 33-yard line for a gain of about 7 on 1st down.
Strong first down carry for Karan Higdon. Wolverines have done a pretty good job all season long on 1st down. It's been 2nd and 3rd down where the question marks have started to come up.
We'll see where they dial it up here. They come out in the identical package to the last play. 2nd and 3. Patterson takes the snap, hands off again. Higdon with a little room on the right side. He's going to be close to the 1st down. Might be about a yard shy of moving the sticks. And they will mark it just short, a gain of 2 on 2nd down for Karan Higdon. He's picked up all 9 yards here on the set. But it's 3rd and 1, and Michigan trying to get an extended drive going here. They need 1 yard.
So big Ben Mason subbing in, and a couple receiver substitutions as well. Oliver Martin coming into the game whenever Martin comes in, that usually signals they're going to do some sort of power run.
It's that heavy package. Patterson under center in the eye. Handoff to Ben Mason. He plows through the pile. It's going to be close. He's still moving forward. The team coming in to push behind him. It looks like he is going to get enough for the first down. Waiting on the final signal as the head referee behind the play does give them the chains. And big Bench Mason gets a big 1 yard, and Michigan will have a fresh set.
He lives up to his name, but that work was done with his legs, churning the legs for just that little extra push necessary to get the first down, keep the drive alive, see what the Michigan Wolverines are able to dial up on
Still
first down.
Back in their own territory, the ball's on the 38-yard line with 1st and 10. Patterson's going to be alone in the gun as he motions Higdon out to the left. He's got 2 receivers to the right. Takes the snap, drops back, looking over the middle. Can't find his receiver, checks down to Eubanks, who cannot make the grab over on the sideline. That one was thrown well behind him. A safe throw by Patterson, but a poor one.
Did like the play idea, though. Think if Shea Patterson felt a little rushed. He didn't need to rush, though. I think he had Zach Gentry running towards the middle of the field in a play that he could have hit him.
Tried to take that slant route, but Northwestern's secondary coverage has been good all game long. Has been confusing Patterson and hasn't given him a lot of open looks. And it'll be 2nd and 10. Higdon right behind. Motioning over is Sean McCune. The handoff to Higdon. He's trying to bust to the outside. He finds a hole, cuts up field, gets across the 40-yard line. Out to about the 41. It'll be a gain of maybe 4. And they will mark it at 3rd and 6 from the 42 with 10:22 remaining here in the 3rd quarter.
So 3rd and medium, right around that area, midfield that we were talking about. This is where Michigan really needs to come up with that good play call to get into Northwestern territory, sustain this drive, and give themselves a chance to start coming back into this football game.
Wolverines just 2 for 7 so far the afternoon on 3rd down conversions. Patterson's in the gun. He motions Grant Perry out to the right-hand side looking for a wheel route. Can't find it. He's going to scramble. He has a little room up the middle. Couple of good blocks as he's across the first down marker, across midfield. And that is a big run from a playmaker in Shea Patterson and a first down for Michigan, again extending the drive.
Shea Patterson, as advertised on that play, using his legs to extend, get the necessary yards for a first down. Good block also by Ben Bredesen to allow Patterson to move up and make that first down.
A pickup of 12 as the ball is now in Northwestern territory on their 46. Patterson from under center fakes the handoff, play action, looking deep, takes a shot downfield. He's got Nico Collins grabbed at the 12-yard line, and he is brought down at the 11. Finally stopped there by J.R. Pace, but the first downfield shot of the afternoon that's successful for the Wolverines finds Nico Collins right between the hashes, and Michigan now threatening to put up some points on the board.
Another strong pass blocking set by the offensive line.
They mark the ball at the Northwestern 10, 1st and 10. Patterson's in the gun. It's a handoff. Going right up the middle is True Wilson, one of the first carries, if not the first carry on the afternoon for True Wilson as he plows forward across the 5-yard line down to the 4, a gain of 6.
True Wilson proven to be a reliable replacement when Karan Higdon needs a breather without Chris Evans. Doing a great job picking up some yards.
2nd and goal from the 4-yard line, 8:37 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Identical formation to the last play. Patterson in the gun. Karan Higdon checks in at tailback. Plowing forward right into a pile of humanity, and it might actually be a loss of about a half yard for Michigan on the play. And it was True Wilson actually still.
Whole playbook's open now. Here in about 3rd and 5 from the 5-yard line.
Critical play, down 10.
This is what you practice all week.
You can be a little gutsy here, but you don't want to sacrifice the 3 points that you're almost assured with a chip shot field goal. So we'll see where Michigan decides to go with it here.
So take advantage of one-on-one coverage if you get it. Nico Collins looks like he's matched up one-on-one. I definitely look at him.
Little spread out here. Zach Gentry, the tight end. Higdon to the left of Patterson, who takes the snap. He's looking to the left, looking for a little fade route to Grant Perry, overthrown. It was J.R. Pace in coverage, and that one falls incomplete. Patterson, he had him by a couple of steps, but just an overthrown pass.
Patterson knew he had him. Northwestern bends but does not break. And, you know, you force a tough throw to the back shoulder corner of the end zone. And Northwestern's going to only allow a field goal here at best.
Yep, it'll bring out the field goal unit, Quinn Nordine.
unit that has had some struggles this year at times.
Should be an easy chipper here. It's going to be a 22-yard attempt from the right hash. The kick is up, and it is good. 3 points on the board for Michigan on their first offensive drive of the second half, and they're within a score now. 17-10 in favor of the Northwestern Wildcats here in Evanston, live at Ryan Field in the Windy City. 7:40 remaining in the third quarter. You're listening to Michigan football coverage on WCBN Sports and the Michigan Student Radio Network.
Michigan will definitely take those points, but they do have to think there was opportunity for more. I do think one on that particular play where Nico Collins caught the ball over the middle to set up the goal-to-go situation, that was also a sign of Northwestern having to respect Shea Patterson running the play before gaining about 10 yards. The linebackers sucked up a little bit more, not able to drop back in as deep of coverage, and leaves a big body like Nico Collins able to go get the ball without worrying about underneath coverage.
Your scoring drive, very nice. 11 plays, 69 yards, 4 minutes and 43 seconds off the clock, as Michigan back within 7 against a scrappy Pat Fitzgerald Wildcats team here in Evanston, Illinois, on the north side of Chicago, on the banks of Lake Michigan. Right in view of the Willis Tower across from us here in the Northwest Tower at Ryan Field. The wind is picked back up. It's getting a little chilly here in the night sky, as those temperatures will continue to drop as the evening bears on. Veteran of the game salute here. Always a nice thing at the Big House in Ann Arbor. Good to see as well here in Ryan Field. The salute to our veteran of the game. Hats off to Private First Class Irv Abramson, a veteran of World War II and the Korean War.
Always great to acknowledge the troops that protect our freedom in our country every single day. It's just great to put it all in perspective at a setting like sports.
Sure looked like he could still step out in a pair of pads and make a hit.
I wouldn't doubt it with those guys, man. Those guys are as tough as they come.
As Michigan in the huddle on the sideline looking for another big defensive stop here as they continue to try and chip away into this Northwestern lead.
Defense has got to be disciplined once again. As we saw the initial drive, big stop on a 3rd and short.
There is plenty of football to be played.
A lot of time left.
Jake Moody putting the ball down on the tee. He's going to give his very characteristic 2 arms up, matador throw down to the side, and that will give his team the heads up that it's time to put a boot through it. Again, back deep for Northwestern is going to be the pairing of McGowan and Flynn Nagel. Nagel standing on the right hash, McGowan on the left. As Jake Moody looks happy, takes his steps back to the 25-yard line, about 4 steps over, arm up, leg through, and we are back underway. Fair catch called for. This one's going to fly all the way into the end zone where it's grabbed by Kyrick McGowan, and it'll be again Northwestern ball on their own 25-yard line for their second offensive drive of the afternoon. They moved it a little bit on their first drive, but Michigan coming up with a big stop on 3rd down as they neared midfield.
Do want to touch on one of the headlines coming into the game was the medical retirement of Jeremy Larkin, the Northwestern starting running back. But if you're a Wildcat fan or really just follow the Big Ten along, I'd say that the Wildcats should feel pretty okay about John Moten IV being that next running back up. You know, I think he's shown that he can be a capable back in this league, at least for what the Wildcats need him to do. And, you know, maybe he's not the bell cow that Larkin was going to be, but Moten definitely can be serviceable in that running back role. So Northwestern has to be encouraged moving forward.
And, well, you've got to say as well, the Northwestern offensive line has done a really good job of run blocking as well as pass blocking for both Clayton Thorson, the quarterback, and John Moten IV, the running back. And it's given him a lot of breathing room, a good way, honestly, to ease into an RB1 role against really one of what was expected to be one of the better defenses in the country. They've looked a little bit off early on today, but Michigan's starting to put it together.
Similarly, Clayton Thorson understood the leadership role he was expected to take, not only coming into this season, but even more so now with a lessened run game I'd say he's risen to the occasion for sure in this game, especially in that first half, really leading the Wildcats right out of the gate. He knows he's going to have to do a lot of work for this offense moving forward.
Again, he had only taken somewhere around 20 carries. I can't remember the exact number coming into this game. I think it was 21 carries on the season, and now he's stepped into a role where so far in the game he's taken 11 carries for 31 yards. He's got a touchdown as well that he got into the end zone unabated back in the first half, midway there. And now he's going to look to put in a little more work here as Northwestern tries to extend the lead.
Pat Fitzgerald always coaching up a tough team, getting the most out of the players he's able to recruit to Northwestern and have them ready to compete at a level up to Big Ten standards.
Big shouts to my grandma, who has messaged in that Chase Winovich is now her boy. A devoted Purdue fan. Good to hear. Thank you, Grammy.
Purdue, big win, or at least looking like a big win against Nebraska today.
Really, Chase Winovich has been Don Brown's boy today so far as well. He's been one of the only guys capable of getting any pressure in off those edges.
He's done a good job, but defensive line success is not always just one person. It usually does require the other linemen occupying attention. So when Winovich has success, I'm sure he will defer credit to his big boys inside and also Khaleke Hudson back out on the field. And
beleaguered by media timeouts, it looks like the man in the red hat who signifies the media timeout finally off the field, as Northwestern is going to take their first snap with Thorson from the shotgun. He makes a slant route completed right out on the 35-yard line or so. The catch was made by Bennett Skowaronic, an injured player on the play. Coming in for Michigan, it was a lead-in tackle that got him right in the torso. Trying to tell who that is down on the 30-yard line.
It's Tyree Cannell, and usually those kind of hits affect the receiver more than the safety, but looks like Cannell got his head down a little bit and took the brunt of that hit.
He got Skowaronic in midair and went over his shoulders.
But once again, that's another inside release that the Michigan defensive backs are giving up, and really puts the defense that wants to apply pressure and play press coverage in vulnerable situations. It's an easy throw for Thorson too. He just has to catch the snap, turn, plant his back foot, and throw a hard bullet.
It's death by 1,000 slants really here, Lucas.
It's like carving cheese.
And there's not a whole lot. It's hard to defend, right? Because again, you have that 5-yard buffer to make contact initially as a DB, but there's not a whole lot that they can do inside that 5-yard zone.
Receivers are just beating the Michigan DBs to the inside, and that's what just cannot happen in press coverage.
And it looks like Tyree Cannell is back up and walking to the sideline under his own power. Might have just gotten his bell rung there. We'll see if he heads to the locker room. Maybe potential concussion protocol, we're not sure. But
sure, they'll sit down with him on the sideline for sure. Take a look.
He's got his helmet on still, and it looks like he's going to stay on the sideline. We'll keep you updated on his condition as we move throughout here. Meanwhile, it was a gain of 8 on the play once it was finally over. It's 2nd and 2 for Northwestern once we come out of this injury timeout, which again is just another opportunity for the good folks at Fox to milk this time for another series of commercial worshipings.
they love their TV advertisers.
Meanwhile, here on WCBN Sports, free unabated coverage of your Michigan Wolverines. Jeremy Parks alongside Lucas Vargas here from the Northwest Tower of Ryan Field on a chilly night in the north side of Chicago.
Score is 17-10. The Northwestern Wildcats lead with 7:31 left in the third quarter. Northwestern got off to a very nice start in this ball game before Michigan maybe started to look like their usual selves, but still Northwestern not looking like they are willing to go away just yet.
I want to thank all of you who are tuning in both in Ann Arbor and around the country with us. As always, for choosing WCBN Sports, we appreciate your support. If you haven't, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WCBN Sports. Get alerts not only for all our Michigan football games, we're at all of them, but all of your Michigan sports needs, especially those games that the cable cutters miss or that the national media ignores. We've got a lot of good teams going around on campus right now. Had some good volleyball coverage last night on 88.3 in Ann Arbor. Several other teams performing at a high level as well. As we are about ready to get back underway here with 2nd and 2 from the Northwestern 33. Thorson is in the shotgun. Handoff goes right up the middle, finds a hole. Winovich wraps up at about the 36. It's going to be enough for a first down, scampering across the way.
I mean, Solomon Vault on the carry. I think a converted wide receiver must have been upped into that kind of speed back role.
Yeah, he's been the number 2 back on the game so far, Solomon Vault. It was listed as Isaiah Bauer, who has only seen 1 carry on the afternoon.
Bowser maybe more of a bruiser at 215 pounds.
And on 1st and 10, looking for a shot down the left side is Thorson, broken up at the last minute. That one was inched just inside the sideline, moving in coverage for the Wolverines. Looked to be Brandon Watson.
Good recovery by Brandon Watson. He did get beat initially, but able to stay in hip with the receiver and force the receiver to dive. It would have been a phenomenal catch. Watson, no penalty, and that's what's important here. 2nd and long.
Target on that play was Skowronek. And it is 2nd and 10 from the 36. Vault is to the left of Thorson in the shotgun. There's 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Hand off to the left side as they try and get some edge blocking. Cutting back inside is Vault as he gets out to the 40. He's going to be about 6 yards shy, so it'll be about 3rd and mid for Northwestern as Michigan tries to get another 3rd down stop here. There's an injury on the play, though. It looks to be a Wolverine laying down on the 40-yard line.
I think it's Rashawn Gary, I believe.
Can't quite tell.
I think it's Gary with his shoulder. Again, just still bothering him. Shoulder injuries are tough, and when you play defensive line, I mean, you're taking a hit every single play. So it's tough to go out there with a messed up shoulder.
Well, you know, even if he was hurting, it's going to be hard to pull a guy like Rashawn Gary off the field. But you want to make sure that he doesn't re-aggravate something, which it looks like he might have done here, as Jim Harbaugh is going to make the walk from the sideline.
I think it's that right arm. He's had it still a couple times when he's left the field, and while he's down on the field, it looked like it was just kind of in a protective, almost like a sling was on, but just kind of laying down on his chest.
Rashawn Gary is on the far side of the field from Michigan, just beyond the left hash from where Northwestern is moving north to south.
I do want to point out that Tyree Cannell looks like he is back in the defensive huddle. He hasn't been back on the field yet, but he does have his helmet, which is a good
They're holding
sign.
him on the edge of the huddle right now. He's not actually in the defensive team huddle.
But he does have his helmet, though. Usually if he had some sort of concussion, they would have taken his helmet away.
Meanwhile, Rashawn Gary is sprawled out on his back, both his legs spread out wide on the 40-yard line near the Northwestern sideline, as Pat Fitzgerald now is also going to come out and just see if everything is all right with Rashawn Gary. An intense coach, but a gamer nonetheless, a man who really does respect and love the game of football in a way very similar to Jim Harbaugh at times, that kind of animalistic football mind.
Pat Fitzgerald is a very respectable coach in the country, and as I mentioned earlier, I think he does a phenomenal job getting the most out of all the kids he recruits to this school.
And Rashawn Gary is back up on his feet, and he doesn't need any help. Again, it
holding that right arm.
Yeah, it's that arm. We'll see if they take him back to the locker room. He went back to the locker room back in the first half, but made his way back out here. He missed a majority of the late drives in the first half on defense, but they're going to need to fill his hole. Kwity Paye has been the main fill-in for that spot on Rashawn Gary's edge of the line, and now Kwity Paye is going to look to come up with some help here on a big 3rd and 6 for Michigan. They're down by 7, 6:39 remaining in the 3rd quarter. As the huddle breaks, Rashawn Gary back over to the bench on the sideline.
Lost and all that. This is a big 3rd down, 3rd and 6. Michigan has a real opportunity here to get off the field and get their offense back.
3 wide receivers out to the right for the Wildcats. Skowronek out on the left. Vault is just to the left of Thorson in the shotgun. Michigan putting 6 in the box as they drop back. Thorson dropping back to throw. He's under pressure, and he is down behind the 35-yard line. Michigan coming up with a big stop, and this time it's Michael Dwumfor, all 6'2", 285 pounds of the junior out of DePaul Catholic in Wayne, New Jersey.
Dwumfor, he got rave reviews during spring ball, and there's a reason why. Great spin, swim move in between the guard, able to make a great tackle while he's being blocked. And that's a big play for the Michigan defense. Have a great opportunity to get off the field, and they take advantage of it.
That's the 3rd sack of the evening for the Wolverines as a penalty flag flies on the punt unit.
Offsides, I think, on Khalid Hudson.
And we'll see what the call is. If so, that puts Northwestern back to about 4th and 7, 4th and 8 as we get the call here. And they do call a neutral zone infraction on Kalik Hudson.
So Hudson's been having some troubles with the penalties these last few second halves.
I don't think that's going to change much from the perspective of Pat Fitzgerald. It's still 4th and 8, and so the punt unit will remain out. It just kicks it back 5 yards. As Donovan Peoples-Jones standing right at about the 23-yard line waiting for the punt from Jake Collins, as Collins takes the snap. Almost blocked again by Grant Perry this time. A low-flying punt as Peoples-Jones has a little momentum going forward. He crosses the 35 out to the 37-yard line. And Michigan will have good field position to start their second offensive drive of the afternoon.
Very low punt, so Peoples-Jones, good job fielding it, getting a couple yards from what he could get, and sets Michigan offense up pretty nicely heading into their next offensive drive.
And Grant Perry got his hands up, got pretty close there.
They're getting close. They are getting close, and that's what you want to see. I mean, who knows? Special teams could play a role in this game in the end.
Really, any turnovers. There have been no turnovers by either team so far in the game. A very clean game of football, albeit long. A lot of injury timeouts. Some weird stuff. Pat Fitzgerald calling several timeouts on a Michigan punt towards the end of the first half, all of which turned into media timeouts.
Icing the punter.
This time, the delay will be shorter as the teams are out of the huddles on the sidelines. Television coordinator is going to head back to the sideline as well. And Michigan's going to start from the 38-yard line with 1st and 10. They put Peoples-Jones out wide to the right. Coming in motion is Ronnie Bell to the left. As a handoff on 1st down goes to Karan Higdon. He busts up the middle, crosses close to the 45-yard line. They're going to mark him down at about the 44.
Good patient, strong run for Karan Higdon. Lets a little hole open up and turns into a 6-yard gain. Good production on a 1st down run.
Yeah, leave it at 2nd and 4. There's a lot more that you can do. Here on 2nd and short, you can work in a little bit more unique. You can run the play action, you can go to the air, you can go to the run, and know that no matter what, you're still going to have a 3rd and manageable.
Really compact formation on this play.
Looks like True Wilson is actually the back in the backfield. Patterson under center. It's going to be a handoff, busting up the middle, crossing the 45, getting out near the 1st down marker. Might be about a yard shy of the line to gain. And we'll see what the signal is where they mark it.
Ben Mason time. Oliver Martin coming in once again.
Yep.
Michigan gives it away, but if they can execute, it doesn't really matter.
It's going to be a gain of 3, and it'll be 3rd and 1 for Michigan.
Coming out of this huddle, it'll be a tight formation with Oliver Martin probably split out right, and they're.
And really, this should be the most surefire play in the Michigan playbook. A 1 yard to your fullback. That's a Harbaugh staple, as they do line up in the eye. Ben Mason, Higdon the tailback. Sean McCune comes in motion to block on the right. They actually give it to Higdon as Higdon gets across the line to gain. He crosses the 49, and right at about midfield, it'll be a 1.5 yard pickup. They needed just 1 yard, and it'll be a fresh set of downs as Michigan close to Northwestern territory. 3:55 remaining here in the 3rd quarter. 17-10 in favor of the Wildcats over your Wolverines here on WCBN Sports and the Michigan Student Radio Network.
There, Oliver Martin subs out with Collins and Peoples-Jones. See what Michigan does to open up the book right now.
A rare Donovan Peoples-Jones slot play as they move Gentry out in motion to the right. Fake the handoff, play action. Patterson really looking down that left sideline, fought it off, and now he's scrambling. And he's going to have to eat this one as he falls forward, just tries to get back to the line of scrimmage. He might have gotten there, actually.
Man, I think they missed an opportunity on that play. Peoples-Jones running a corner out of the slot. I think if he runs a post on that play, he's got a lot of grass to work with.
Tackle was made on the play by Sandup Miller.
It's a similar set they ran against SMU a couple weeks ago and scored on.
No gain on the play, 2nd and 10. Even 3 minutes remaining and ticking here in the 3rd quarter. 2 receivers out to each side. The handoff goes to Higdon as he finds a little room on the right-hand side, falls forward for about a gain of 3, and it's going to be 3rd and long.
So right around midfield, once again, can Michigan convert on a big 3rd down and keep this drive alive, give themselves a chance to put points on the board?
In that awkward range again, though, where the punt might be just a little bit short-sided. If they get close here, it may be a 4-down territory situation, but right now it's 3rd and 6 from the Northwestern 47.
Say if you can get 5 yards on this, you're setting yourself up for an opportunity on 4th down.
Patterson barking out instructions to the line. He's got 2 receivers to the left, 2 to the right. Higdon to his left, out of the gun. Takes the snap. He's looking over to the left-hand side. Again, he's going to get flushed out of the pocket as he moves towards the sideline. Makes a throw for Zach Gentry. Did he keep? He did. He made the catch on the right sideline, right at the 35-yard line, 36-yard line. And that is going to be a first down for Michigan. A big pickup, a good scramble, a good find, and what he does best, a good throw on the move by Shea Patterson.
I know Patterson got flushed out of the pocket on that play, but the offensive line did a really good job sorting out the confusion that Northwestern was throwing at them, picking up the blocks for the most part, and Patterson doing the rest on his own. Good job by Zach Gentry, too, coming back to the ball.
1st and 10, Northwestern 36. Wolverines trying to get back to even as Patterson takes the snap, fakes, looking deep. Good coverage downfield. He's looking for Eubanks. He's got him falling backwards inside the 15. He tried to find Eubanks a little bit earlier here in the 3rd quarter, and he missed. And it looks like we have a Northwestern player down on the field, but that is a big pickup for Michigan, a gain of about 24 on 1st and 10. And it looks like it's Chris Bergman, backup linebacker who was in coverage. Didn't quite see what happened to him. It looks like he's rubbing his upper right leg.
Looked like it might have been an ankle, but either way, they're really liking Nick Eubanks on those corner routes. And I don't know if it was by accident or by design, but Nick Eubanks and Oliver Martin both ran corners almost on top of each other.
Well, it's good concentration, and I don't know if you can hear our Nat mics picking up the sound right now, but this is an away game for Michigan. The fans, however, going crazy here inside Ryan Field. Chance of Let's Go Blue thundering in the Evanston night sky as the sideline tries to get them pumped up.
Michigan back in the red zone. There are a lot of Michigan fans here on the north side, and Michigan offense needs to convert here in the red zone with a touchdown.
And Chris Bergman still down on the 15-yard line inside the red zone.
It's definitely some sort of right leg injury. He was holding it on the fall.
Staff continuing to work on him. He is close to the Michigan sideline, nearest us in the corner here in the northwest corner of the end zone. Seems to be still moving his leg, so a good sign there, but continues to be tended to by the Northwestern medical staff, and that'll give both huddles time to kind of draw up a red zone plan here. Once we get back underway, it's going to be 1st and 10 from the 12-yard line. Michigan down by 7. It's 17-10 with 1:30 remaining in the 3rd quarter.
Still want to see something that I don't think we've seen a lot out of Michigan this season, but I want to see them go and take advantage of a one-on-one matchup. This is a Northwestern secondary that was vulnerable this season, and you have big receivers, athletic receivers like Donovan Peoples-Jones and Nico Collins. You've got to find a way to get them an opportunity to go up and make a play in the red zone.
And how about that view as well? As I just look up, by the way, Chris Bergman just getting up on the 15-yard line, and he is on his own power but somewhat assisted by the staff as he limps back towards the sideline. That Chicago night sky out in the distance there. That's a view.
We had a nice drive down Lakeshore Drive, and you know what? It is a beautiful, beautiful night here in Evanston, Illinois.
Let's see if it's a beautiful couple of plays here for Michigan as we are getting set to get back underway. Karan Higdon is in the backfield. Shea Patterson is under center. Just Oliver Martin out wide. They hand it off, and it looks like Higdon is going to be met in the backfield for a loss of 3. A big play made there by Northwestern, and it's their star man on the line, Joe Gaziano.
Michigan continues to be predictable on offense with a substitution. Oliver Martin, the lone receiver on the right side of the formation, signals power run. They're usually going to pull a guard and run behind him. Northwestern able to sniff it out and stop it.
1 minute remaining and ticking in the 3rd quarter. It's 2nd and 13. It's close to really a 2nd and goal situation. The line to gain is just inside the 2-yard line. As Michigan comes with 3 to the right, 2 to the left. Patterson alone in the gun. He's looking left the whole way. He finds Donovan Peoples-Jones at the 10, and he is inside the 10 down to about the 7-yard line is where they'll mark him, and they're actually going to give him a pretty favorable spot at the 6. And it'll be 3rd and 4 for Michigan, and they really need to get in the end zone here. A field goal would come away feeling pretty sour.
Touchdown would be preferred, but I'd like to see Michigan pull some creative out of the bag.
An extended huddle there as they discuss the plan. Nico Collins is going to split out wide to the right. Peoples-Jones in the slot. They've got Gentry heavy end on the end of the set. Grant Perry shifting over to the right side now, as Patterson is going to take the snap out of the shotgun. He's looking right, trying to find a receiver. incomplete and almost intercepted in the end zone by J.R. Pace. I think he was looking for Grant Perry. I think Grant Perry might have wanted a holding call, judging by the way he's barking, but he will not get one, and that's going to force the punting unit to come out. So again, a Michigan drive deep inside the red zone stalls out, and it'll just be a try for 3 with 4 seconds remaining here in the third quarter.
Really confused by that offensive play. Karan Higdon set almost as a slot wing, and a far throw they were trying to go to on the far side of the end zone from the left hash. I wasn't a fan of that.
Quinn Nordine made one from 22 yards earlier. The snap hold is good, the kick is up, and it is good. That one was a 20-yard try, so mark them from 20 and 22. And that's 3 more points on the board. Michigan now within 4. It's 17-13 in favor of the Northwestern Wildcats. You're listening to Michigan football coverage on WCBN Sports and the Michigan Student Radio Network. That also was the last play of the third quarter as the last 4 seconds ticked away in the process of the field goal. So when we come back for the kickoff, it's going to be a full 15 minutes left to play here in quarter number 4 on a chilly night in Evanston, Illinois.
And Michigan feels like they've seized some sort of momentum here, but still unable to convert touchdowns in the red zone, deep in the red zone, that is. And it's going to be the defense needing to make a play again to get the offensive ball back. No points can be allowed by this defense right now.
If you have any questions about the broadcast or any shout-outs you'd like to give, we are always reachable on Twitter at WCBN Sports. We'll try and get to you as soon as we can throughout the course of the game. You can also feel free to comment in the live chat on YouTube, or if you're listening through WCBNsports.org, just find a way to do both.
But going back to that last play before the field goal, I was very confused by the offensive set that Michigan came out in. Karan Higdon, like I said, almost played as a slot wingback where he had no chance of getting a handoff, and they used him to basically protect against an end that wasn't even there. They had trips out right, and at the end they're trying to hit Peoples-Jones in a far corner, very, very far throw, almost intercepted, and I just did not think that was the best way to go.
Well, it was pretty dead giveaway. There really wasn't a whole lot on the left side, and they put Perry in motion to go meet out in the slot with Peoples-Jones, and you could pretty much sniff out from that point that they were going to do something to the right, because really they had double coverage on the lone receiver out on the left. And so I agree with you. It's kind of an easy read for a play call as far as I'm concerned.
Even some sort of just short flare by Karan Higdon out to the flat on this left side gives Patterson an option. And if you overload the defense on one side, maybe Higdon does get that space necessary. You know, they had room for a first down at the 2-yard line just to even pick that up. Yeah,
Higdon was loaded up just offset of the line on the left-hand side, so not in the backfield by any means. But Michigan has 15 minutes to escape a bad loss here in Evanston. Northwestern, again, 1-2 on the year. They won their opening game against Purdue, 31-27 in a shootout in West Lafayette, and then lost the last 2 games to the Duke Blue Devils, 21-7, and then to the Akron Zips, 39-34, 2 weeks ago. They had the bye week, which, you know, does a lot in terms of preparation. So Pat Fitzgerald clearly getting through to his team on their off week of practice. Probably ran them into the heart wouldn't go anymore.
You would say, though, that, I mean, Duke, I think, I know when I saw that Duke score against Northwestern, I thought that was a bad loss for Northwestern to take, but Duke's turned out to be a good team. You know, they're ranked in the top 25, so that loss looking a little bit better. The Akron loss is still pretty confusing, and the Northwestern defense got shredded in that game. So I'm not 100% sure on that one, but this is the Northwestern team looking to be 2-0 in the Big Ten right now.
Michigan, meanwhile, 1-0 in the Big Ten as well after a trouncing of the Nebraska Cornhuskers last week, 56-10. Perhaps, Lucas, they came in flying a little high off that big win, and it gets the better of you sometimes.
It does sometimes, and I know I certainly expected to see a lot of the walk-ons the last 2 weeks. Michigan have been playing over 70 guys most of the time. Definitely not something that we're going to see here today, but I thought that we'd see a lot of the backups and maybe even the third stringers play once again. But Northwestern, you know, you got to credit them with being prepared to play. They did not
100%
come out and get pushed over. They came out, set the tone, and made sure that this was not going to be a game that Michigan was comfortable at here in Chicago.
As the ball is down on the tee for Jake Moody, gives the slap to the sides as the team spreads out. And he takes his paces back to the 25. Again, back to return for Northwestern is Kyrick McGowan and Flynn Nagel, as Moody puts a boot through it, and it should be back in the end zone again. Another fair catch. Michigan has not given Northwestern any opportunities to return so far tonight, nor does that seem to be their intention.
Jake Moody is a very reliable kickoff man, consistently putting it in that end zone area, forcing a fair catch or touchback. What you'd want out of your kickoff team.
Northwestern ball it shall be on the 25-yard line. Again, no time running off the clock with the fair catch, so it's a full 15 minutes here in the fourth quarter, with Northwestern trying to hold on here. It's been a while since they last scored. Not since late in the second quarter. Trying to put up some points on the board here against a Michigan team that seems intent on coming back, as Clayton Thorson is in the shotgun for his first snap. He has some play action as he rolls out on a bootleg to the right, looking for a receiver down the right hand of the sideline, and he's got him. It is Flynn Nagel right near the line to gain at the 35. They need to get to the 36. And so it's going to be 2nd and 1 for Northwestern. Again, a nice grab by Nagel, Thorson's favorite receiver. As they're back in the shotgun again, 2 receivers to the left. This time it's going to be a handoff to Moten. Moten is met at the line immediately, and he's going to be stacked up. Might have gotten a half yard, and they are going to give him the first down. So just a power run, good Midwestern football by the Wildcats, and they get a fresh set of downs at their own 36-yard line.
Well, it's going to be subbed out now for Vault, so more of that speed back type of role in the Northwestern offense.
Solomon Vault to the right of Thorson, 3 receivers to the left. As Vault is moving over towards the right-hand side, that pass incomplete. Good coverage there by Devin Bush. The intended target for Northwestern was the tight end Cameron Green. And it was just a short slant route that falls incomplete. One of the few incomplete passes for Clayton Thorson on the night. 13 for 18.
Great job by Devin Bush breaking up the pass, putting Northwestern offense behind the chains. Cam Green coming off a career-high 11-catch game against Akron. Good job breaking that one up.
Michigan loads up the box here on 2nd and 10. Trips receivers to the left. Thorson drops back. He's looking over the middle. This time he's got Green, but he is popped as he tried to catch the ball. And that is a massive hit levied right inside by Josh Ross. Lucas, your face looked like you were disgusted by that, because that was gross.
Josh Ross, what a hit.
That was a big pop on the big tight end.
That's how you discourage inside releases right there. Great hit by Josh Ross.
And it's going to be 3rd and 10 instead of 3rd and in between. And we'll see what Northwestern dials up here. You know what Don Brown is going to dial up. Watch Chase Winovich on that left-hand side. As Thorson's going to drop back in the shotgun. He's got a lone receiver to the right. He's got 2 to the left. He's got the tight end to his right side. As he takes the snap, drops back. He's looking left. Pass is incomplete over across the 40-yard line. And that is good coverage by the Wolverines. That time it was David Long who made the stop. The intended receiver on the play was Bennett Skornick. And it's going to be 4th and 10 in Northwestern with a short drive. They only take 1 minute and 4 off the clock. They're going to be forced to punt.
Northwestern wanted to go with towards the inside, but David Long doing a great job on the press coverage, using all 5 of his yards of legal contact. And as soon as the Northwestern receiver turns inside, Long switches hands, stays attached, and breaks up another pass. Great job all around on that second series of the drive.
Nice stop for Michigan. They give up a first down, but nothing more. Now back to punt is Jake Collins as he gets it off. Peoples-Jones back to receive, takes it at the 24. He's busting to the right-hand side. He's got a little bit of a gap. He goes airborne across the 35, and he'll get some good return yardage out to about the 36. Mark it at the 37. So he gets about 15 yards back on the return.
Sets the Michigan offense very nicely. You're really hearing the Go Blue chant start to reign here at Ryan Field.
We'll give you a little taste here as we tune up the Nat mics. Again, Lucas, this is an away game for Michigan, but a lot of alumni in the Chicago area for the Maize and Blue, and they have turned out en masse for this one. The entire south end zone is maize. The entire corner of the northeast end zone away from us is maize. Underneath us, largely maize. really the only big pockets of purple are on the 50-yard line of either side.
Yeah, and those are ideally the areas for season ticket holders, but it won't matter for Michigan unless they eventually put one in the end zone. Michigan offense needs to find a way to get into pay dirt, something that Northwestern defense has been able to avoid so far in the second half. Michigan has the momentum right now. It's time to convert and find some footing on that Wildcats wording in the end zone.
They've got the fan support behind them. It's going to be Michigan's ball on their own 37-yard line with 13:44 remaining in the fourth quarter. Northwestern leads the Wolverines 17-13 here on WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football and the Michigan Student Radio Network. Jeremy Parks alongside Lucas Vargas. Thank you again to all of you tuning in Ann Arbor, in Michigan, and around the country today with us for a tight game here under the lights now at Ryan Field as the floodlights boom down onto that green grass.
Yeah, and we can once again thank Fox. This game has gone on for 3 hours so far, and we still have about a whole another quarter left to play.
Kicked off at 4:30 Eastern time, 3:30 local roughly, and it's currently 6:25 local, so 7:25 back in the mitten.
It's nice being back in Central Time though, JP.
A Texas man at heart you are, Lucas. As well as Daniel Thompson also giving the thumbs up. A Nebraska man who was really torn last week in Michigan's blowout win over the Cornhuskers. Born and raised in Lincoln, Nebraska. His parents work for the University of Nebraska. And he loves Michigan, but boy does he also really like Nebraska.
And they don't love him back, man. They do not love him back at all. Oh,
that should about do it for the media timeout. Enough about Daniel Thompson.
Enough of the media timeouts, man.
He had his time. As it looks like Cesar Ruiz is coming back out to center for the Wolverines here. And he will settle on that ball at the 37. Michigan's going to go with trips to the left. They've got from outside to in Collins, DPJ, and Grant Perry. Higdon is to the left of Patterson in the shotgun. Takes the snap, hands off to Higdon. Had a little room on the right-hand side, but a nice tackle that saved a lot of yards there being made by Northwestern, and that one coming off the edge from Montre Hartage.
Nick Eubanks going to sub in. He's had a pretty nice game catching those two corner routes. See if they'll give him a look here on second down in about 7 or 8.
They go a little heavier, so you might think run block as they take Grant Perry out. It's 2nd and 8. As Higdon is directly behind Patterson. He takes the handoff. He goes up the middle. No, Patterson kept it. Fooled everybody. He's over the left-hand side. A flag is down on the play, but he crosses midfield, crosses the 40-yard line and out at the 39. But it looks like this one might be coming back. The flag came pretty late after everybody had already been fooled.
I don't know what
they really sold Higdon on the inside, and the referees are going to conference here.
Don't know what was seen. That could have been called.
It's far away from the action on the near side, and they are going to call a hold. Boy, that must have been far away from the play. As it's going to go against the Wolverines, and they're going to march backwards now after what would have been a really nice pickup on the read option from Shea Patterson.
I think I see what they called, and if this is Big Ten football, I don't know if you can call that as holding.
A rough break again for Michigan, as penalties at key times have been a big part of the game. It's now 2nd and 18. They're backed up behind where they started the drive. They're now at their own 29. So they need to pick up a couple of chunk plays here, as they're going to split 3 out wide, and they're going to put the tight end Zach Gentry out wide to the right. Patterson takes the snap, immediately looks left on a bubble screen. He gets it out to Nico Collins, but he doesn't have a lot of blocking space. He's going to maybe get about 8 yards back out of that as he gets back to the 36-yard line. And it's going to be 3rd and 11, 3rd and 10 for Michigan with 12:26 remaining.
Michigan's got to find a way to convert this play. I mean, it's not the end of the world if they don't, but with all the momentum on your side right now, if you convert this.
Northwestern really trying to pump up their fans from the sideline. Towels waving. The student section leading the charge. Michigan puts Nico Collins out wide to the left. They've got DPJ and Grant Perry stacked over on the right. Patterson drops back. He's looking over the middle. Looks like he wants a cross route to Nico Collins, and he overthrew him. He had him wide open. Had him wide open and shot it just a little bit far, and Collins had to reach out to bat it to the ground and prevent an interception from the deep men. And that's going to do it for the drive for Michigan. So really kept back by a big holding call and then a poor pass from Patterson. You know, it seems like when he plants his feet, he's less accurate than when he's on the move.
It's almost like he thinks too much. And he had his man. He knows he had him. Saw the frustration he had with himself following that missed throw.
So Will Hart into punt. Riley Lee's back for Northwestern to return. He's standing on his own 20-yard line. As Hart takes the snap, has plenty of time. It's got some good hang times. It tracks back inside the 15-yard line for Lee's. Has a little bit of blocking room as he breaks out to the left-hand side. Now he's circling back. You never want to see this. He's now trapped as he tries to cut back upfield, and he is dropped behind the 15. Finally goes down at about the 13. And that is not what you want to see in your punt returner.
I think they called illegal shift on Michigan off the motion from Ambry Thomas.
I didn't see the flag. Oh, it's very far over here behind the play, almost on the Michigan sideline. And they are going to call it.
Illegal procedure. And they get flagged for this almost once a game, it seems like. I'm not sure why they feel like this needs to be a part of the punt play, but they have to find a way to execute it more effectively if they're going to run that.
Well, Chris Partridge is formerly the recruiting director, now the special teams coach, and he came over to Michigan originally from Paramus Catholic in New Jersey, where Rashawn Gary was brought out of, and he is now the special teams coordinator, and you got to think he's upset with that one.
I mean, I like the concept of the play, but for some reason they cannot seem to get it right. It puts Ambry Thomas, one of their fastest players, in motion to get a running start. I really like that idea, but they've got to find a way to get it done without the penalty.
And it was a really booming punt, again, from Will Hart, and now he's going to have to do it from 5 yards deeper as it's back to 4th and 16, and they're going to spot the ball for the punt at the Michigan 31, and they're going to have a do-over. So maybe this time Riley Lees will think he's less in NCAA 08 and will maybe just take the ball as it comes. Northwestern doesn't seem too interested in the block as they're shifting around behind the play.
Trying to force a false start, maybe.
As Will Hart takes the snap, and he'll put it deep again. And again, it's going to track Lees backwards. But this time he's got a lot more room to run as it's good coverage by his guys. He crosses the 20 out across the 25 and close to the 30. So really that 5-yard penalty, a 15-yard swing between having Riley Lees down inside the 15 and now at the 28-yard line. And it'll be good starting field position for the Wildcats. With 11:24 remaining here in the fourth quarter, they lead by 4 as they're going to try and take a little time off the clock. You're listening to Michigan football coverage on WCBN Sports, the Michigan Student Radio Network.
Michigan defense has to continue to execute. They know what's going to be coming. It's where Northwestern's going to rely on the arm of Clayton Thorson.
As they advertise their next home game here in Evanston, Northwestern will take on Nebraska here in Evanston 2 weeks from now on October 13th. Next weekend, though, they're going to have their hands full as they go out to East Lansing to play Mark D'Antonio and the Spartans, who got out of a rough start, a slow start today against Central Michigan, but pulled out with a win, as they will notch the end of their non-conference schedule with just one loss coming to the Arizona State Sun Devils, and Herm Edwards and his boys, who got that win in Tempe under the lights.
Herm Edwards, I mean, that's an interesting character, I'd say, in college football, but he seems to actually have the Sun Devils going in a positive direction.
Looks like the live look here on the screen in the stadium showing the Duke Blue Devils have just taken the lead over the Virginia Tech Hokies early in this one, 7-3, pending the extra point after a nice touchdown grab by the Blue Devils.
Virginia Tech, of course, with that crushing upset loss to Old Dominion last week.
A team that has only been in Division I for, I believe, 3 years. Put together their first big upset of a Power 5 opponent last week against the Hokies. At Old Dominion in Roanoke, by the way.
It's an interesting home and home that they must have scheduled.
Normally, when you play a team like Old Dominion, you're paying them to come to your house, and somehow they agreed.
Somehow that got worked out as a home and home.
And boy, from the TV screen, Old Dominion looked like they stuffed that place full.
I mean, they must have sold extra, tickets they didn't even have for that game, because you're right, it did not look like there's a single empty seat, and I'm sure the fans were just expecting to get to watch Virginia Tech, which was supposed to be a good team, but They got a lot more than they paid for.
Michigan defense coming out of the huddle. And they will head back out to where the ball is spotted at the Northwestern 28-yard line. And we'll see what Clayton Thorson has in store here. It's been a much slower half for Northwestern, really benefiting from the fact that they got 10 points in the first quarter, got out early, and they've been holding on since. They tacked on one more touchdown in the second. They have not scored since. Michigan, meanwhile, has chipped away at their 17-0 lead. It's now down to 17-13. From first down, it's a run play with Moten up the middle, and he is brought down on the edge by Devin Bush, and it'll be a gain of about 2.
Kwity Paye did a nice job crashing hard down the line as soon as he saw the handoff. His job is to play quarterback first, crash down once he sees the ball's been carried. Good job blowing it up.
2nd and 7 as Northwestern puts trip receivers to the left. Thorson throws the hand down, takes the snap, fakes the handoff as he was looking for another slant route, but this time he threw it low. It was in the intended direction of Skowronek. Couldn't get it. Would have been a first down, and he made the grab, but decent coverage by Michigan and a bad throw by Thorson leaves it at 3rd and 7.
Metellus playing off Skowronek. If Skowronek really just kind of curves his route in a little bit more and sits down, he's wide open. He kind of kept running towards Metellus, lengthening his route, and that gave Metellus a chance to make a play on the ball.
2 receivers to the left in single coverage, 1 receiver out to the right. Moten to the left of Thorson in the gun. Metellus coming into the box now.
3rd down here.
Michigan looking for a quick 3 and out. Thornton takes the snap. He's looking left. He's flushed out of the pocket. He's got a little bit of room, but he's brought down. A big stop made by the Wolverines there, and that one was Aubrey Solomon on the tackle for Michigan.
Like Kwity Paye also getting in on that, but that really started with the coverage between David Long and Lavert Hill. Northwestern's going to motion into a stack with the receivers, and the defensive back's going to do what you call a banjo, where the front man will take the inside release, back man will take the outside, and they paired it up perfectly.
And it's going to be 4th and 8 after the 1-yard loss on the sack. Will end the drive quickly for Northwestern as they will punt it away with Jake Collins back to return as Peoples-Jones. He's going to call for fair catch just inside the 35-yard line as he gets up in the grill of one of the gunners down there for Northwestern. And it's going to be Michigan's ball at their own 34-yard line here with 10:05 remaining in the 4th quarter. They're in hunt of 4 points to get this game back to even, 5 points to take the lead.
Michigan needs to find ways to consistently execute on offense right now. Not a lot of time went off through that last Northwestern drive, but that is time gone nonetheless. Michigan needs to really start to value the clock and take advantage of the field position they have right now.
As the chants of Go Blue again thundering here from the stands of Ryan Field. Michigan gonna try and piece something together again. Last drive, it was a big holding call that set Michigan back on what would have been a first down, back to 2nd and 18, and they couldn't recover from there.
When Michigan hasn't committed penalties, they've been the better team. But when you commit penalties, you automatically set yourself back so far. And that's what shot Michigan in the foot.
17-13 in favor of Pat Fitzgerald and the Northwestern Wildcats. A big offensive huddle, and right smack dab in the center of it is Jim Harbaugh. Trying to instill a little something in the troops here, as it's going to come down to the wire, I guess, in this one. A game that a lot of people thought Michigan would come in and comfortably win on the road, but it has been far from a comfortable game for the Maize and Blue here in Evanston tonight. That wind chill also continuing to go down as we've got open windows here in our tower booth in the northwest end zone. Chilly one here as our first real taste of fall is in the air.
I've got my Minnesota Timberwolves hat on, my warm knit hat, protect the ears at all costs.
Well, we wear the headsets that protect the ears. I'm more cold, like up the sleeves of my jacket.
Well, I have 2 jackets on.
That is true. Spoken like a true Texan.
Spoken like a true Texan. Got to reacclimate to the winter.
How'd you get lost up here?
Oh, took a wrong turn at in Lubbock.
Somewhere on a dirt road.
Middle of nowhere.
Like an old Willie Nelson song or something. That's your life, Lucas.
It's my life. I own a donkey.
All right, Donkey Man, as Michigan's getting ready out of the timeout here. Again, their ball at their own 33-yard line. Going to see an interesting check into the game. Backup fullback Jared Wangler going to come into the game. Really, it's been all Ben Mason in the fullback position for the Wolverines, but Wangler's going to get his shot as he is split to the right and Higdon is to the left of Patterson in the shotgun. They fake the handoff on first down. They get it out complete in the flat to Wangler. He breaks a tackle, breaks 2 tackles, crosses the 40-yard line, and good fight there from the big fullback. 6'2", 240 pounds. As he barrels forward, close to a first down. It was a 9-yard gain. It'll be 2nd and 1.
Wangler, the stronger receiver of the fullback group, and definitely not what either of us expected. Probably not what Northwestern expected either. Great job catching the Northwestern defense, probably off guard as well.
That's what he was in there for, just the one play, and he's back to the sideline as Michigan's going to go heavy set here on the line with Patterson under center and Higdon in the backfield. This smells run
DPJ instead of Martin.
Grant Perry in motion from the right to the left. They do give the handoff, goes right up the middle, and it's going to get the first down for Karan Higdon as he crosses the 45-yard line out to about the 45.5, maybe the 46. It's a fresh set of downs with 9:14 and ticking as Michigan nears midfield. Things getting a little quiet here in the stadium. Both fan bases on edge. Can Northwestern hold the lead? Can Michigan bust in? As it's 1st and 10. Coming across in motion is Grant Perry from left to right. Handoff on first down to Higdon. He is met in the backfield but falls forward for about a yard. That's a really nice play there for Northwestern. Tackle looked like it was made by the safety Jared McGee in on the blitz.
Yeah, McGee read that very, very nicely out of Mansfield, Texas. Nice job fitting the run.
From Mansfield Legacy High School, a senior here for the Northwestern secondary, as it's now 2nd and 9 for Michigan. Again, they're going to come out of the shotgun. Still the 3 receivers set to the left. Higdon splits out wide to the right. Dropping back, looking over the middle is Patterson. He's going towards the right sideline, and he's got Zach Gentry. Did he make the catch? He did. Inside Northwestern territory, almost down to the Northwestern 40. They're going to mark it at the 41, and it's a fresh set of downs, and Michigan continues to move.
By having trips left and a tight end on the opposite side, when you motion out Higdon, it usually will take a defensive back off of that tight end, Zach Gentry. A big and pretty athletic mismatch for a linebacker to cover. Nice job on the corner route. Patterson hit him perfectly.
Checking into the game is Ronnie Bell, as he's going to be the lone receiver out to the left. Oliver Martin out wide to the right. And on first down, it's a handoff to Higdon as he takes a stutter step to the right, tries to cut up through a hole, doesn't find a whole lot, maybe got a yard or two. 2nd and 9.
It's Jared McGee again also coming down to get involved on that tackle. He's really approaching that line of scrimmage.
Look out, though, as he starts to suck up into that hole.
Play action opportunity.
That's the whole point. You open up that play action run, he's going to bite, and that's going to give Patterson an opportunity to look downfield.
He's going to get caught in the traffic, and Donovan Peoples-Jones down here at the bottom of the formation.
Going to watch that in single coverage as the snap on first down is play action. Moving out towards the right is Patterson. He's got time. He's trying to find something. Instead, he's going to take off and scamper for a few yards on his own as he's going to cross the 40, and they'll mark him out at about the 37-yard line, we'll say, and it's going to leave 2nd and 6. He was trying to find something on the bootleg right. Couldn't find anything there. True Wilson was checked in on that last play at tailback.
True Wilson will remain in the game. Big 3rd and 6, maybe the biggest third down of the game so far for the Michigan offense.
Big 3rd and 6. This is barely inside Quinn Nordine's range, so any yardage here will help.
And an empty back set.
Empty back set. True Wilson is on the right end of the line, the farthest man out to that right side, and then 3 receivers wide to the left. Patterson is flushed out. He's got some running room. Can he beat the spy? He can. He's around the 30-yard line, and he got the first down. Twinkle toes from Shea Patterson as he crosses the 30-yard line down to the 29.
I was very surprised Patterson cut his run back actually to the middle of the field. He goes outside. He may be able to get a couple more yards out of that.
That is a massive play for the Wolverines.
Karan Higdon checks back in now in the pistol formation.
In that pistol right behind Patterson as they hand off to him on first down. Tries to cut to the left, doesn't find anything there. That's been kind of the MO the last couple of first plays, and got to be careful there as Higdon got up out of the tackle and gave a shove to somebody on that Northwestern line. Looked like it might have been Ben Oxley.
Northwestern is not going to let Michigan use the run, it looks like, so.
No harm, no foul. Michigan is down to the Northwestern 28-yard line. It's 2nd and about 10. 5:36 and ticking here remaining in the game.
Go 5 out once again.
And this is all Shea Patterson. He takes that gun snap. He's looking left the whole way. Checks back over to the right. He's got it complete inside the 10-yard line and inside the 5 to Zach Gentry.
It's a
Looked like
catch.
the corner tried to jump the route and almost came up with an interception, but it stuck right through his hands and into the arms of the waiting tight end for the Wolverines. That was a dangerous throw, but he fit a tight window in there to big Zach Gentry, the former quarterback turned tight end.
And Montre Hardage just unable to make a play. That could be the first turnover of the game, but instead it's going to be Michigan 1st and goal at the 6-yard line.
And Bench Mason checks into the game at fullback. 4 yards to go for Michigan, so they can hit pay dirt. 4:52 remaining in the 4th quarter. They trail by 4. The handoff goes to Higdon. Higdon plows forward. Still not down yet as he breaks the first contact. And I don't think he got anything there. Might have lost half a yard.
It's like they'll be 2nd down from the 5-yard line with about 4:35 left in this game.
And you've got to give big credit to this Northwestern defensive front. Every time Michigan has gotten deep in the red zone, they have held their ground. That real bend, don't break philosophy.
Bend but don't break, but that time is over. This is time for Michigan to find the end zone as they're going to go quads left. One of those backs.
That is a
Ben
formation you never see from the Wolverines. Quads out to the left, as you said. Ben Mason's going to break ranks, and he's going to come back inside to the left-hand side of the line formation. As it's going to be a handoff to Karan Higdon, and he is in the end zone. Touchdown, touchdown, Michigan.
So basically what Michigan is saying is fine. If you're just going to compact the box on us, we'll spread you out first. Motion Ben Mason back inside and let him come across, almost pull across the formation, open up a really nice hole for Karan Higdon to run through.
Karan Higdon had a lot of hard-fought 1-2-yard runs on that drive, and he just capped it off with 5 to the house.
That is great play calling by the Michigan offensive staff to finally find a way to free up a hole. Also, great job blocking that strong side, weak side defensive end, rather.
Extra point from Nordine is up, and it is good. Michigan, for the first time in this game, has a lead. It's 20-17 with 4:06 remaining in the 4th quarter. You're listening to Michigan football coverage on WCBN Sports and the Michigan Student Football Radio Network. That was fantastic interior blocking from Cesar Ruiz, Mike Onwenu, and Juwan Bushell-Beatty on the right edge.
So Bushell-Beatty is the guy that really tied that play together because he occupied his end enough to allow Ben Mason to pull and crash the linebacker coming down to fit the gap. Great job. All-around execution on that entire offensive drive by the Michigan Wolverines.
And really, both of those tackles, both Runyon and Bushell-Beatty, have had their fair share of criticism on the edges, but that right there is how you signify improvement.
Well, and
really good run blocking.
Let's think about also all the criticism the Michigan offense has gotten for maybe not letting Shea Patterson unload his creativity. They have gone countless times in the second half, empty backfield sets, where it is just Patterson back there picking apart or using his legs to make a play, sets up and forces the Wildcat defense to spread out. Now it's all up to the Michigan defense. But it starts on this kickoff with special teams. Jake Moody's got to do his thing, force a touchback, and then the Michigan defense has got to be stout.
4:06 to play. Both teams have all 3 timeouts.
Now, if you're Northwestern, there's plenty of time left. You have playmakers, you know, Flynn Nagel and guys of that nature, but you have got to
gentlemen of that nature.
You've got to find a way to get some of these guys the ball in space and just let them. You have plenty of time. You got to get them the ball over the middle. That's what gave them success.
Yep. Men of the playmaking variety. Flynn Nagel. They've also got Ramad, Zhao Bowman. And then Bennett Skornick has really been a target for Thorson, but he hasn't had a whole lot of success finding him. They've really...
Well, Cam Green is another guy that hasn't been given opportunities in the second half at all. And
well, they tried to go over the middle to Cameron Green, and Josh Ross popped the heck out of him.
So Northwestern's got to find a way to get back to catching the ball near the hashes. That's where they've been the most successful.
Michigan 4 minutes and 6 seconds away from capping off a strong comeback. They were down 17-0 at one point in the second quarter. Trying to rifle back The number 14 team in the country trying to go 2-0 in Big Ten play. Northwestern also trying to go 2-0 in Big Ten play, but they're just trying to get back to 500 ball. Both sides of the audience have woken up here in the late night in Evanston. As Jake Moody has the ball down on the tee. Back to return, McGowan and Nagel. Although my best guess here is it's just going to be another Moody kick into the end zone and another fair catch for Northwestern to start at the 25.
Our favorite guy on the field, the man in red, holding things up initially, but we're underway here for the kickoff.
Get the goosey bumps here, not just because it's cold, but a good game down to the wire here on WCBN Sports with Michigan football clinging to a 2017 lead. They just retook the lead on a 5-yard Karan Higdon touchdown run. As the kick from Jake Moody is up and back into the end zone where it'll be fair caught there by Kyrick McGowan on the S of the Wildcats. And that'll come out to the 25-yard line. So 75 yards to go for Northwestern to hit pay dirt. And really, they've had some troubles in the kicking game with Charlie Kubender.
He did hit one pretty long field goal. He
hit a 45-yarder earlier in this game, if memory serves. So getting inside the 30-yard line needs to be the key for them to tie up this game.
Clayton Thorson, the senior quarterback for the Wildcats, is going to have to take over one way or another if he wants to lead his team back in front. But if you're Michigan, what you preached all summer long was that your defense was going to be as good as it gets. And it's time.
It's going to come down to the secondary.
It's going to be time for Michigan to be who they say they are. A defensive team that's technically sound and won't shoot themselves in the foot.
Northwestern can still work in the run. They've got all 3 timeouts here with 4:06 to go. And looks like we're going to shift the hash mark here. It was fair caught in the, what would be the left hash mark from that direction, but they bring it over to the right hash. And that's where Northwestern will get set. They have trips receivers out to the left. They've got Moten to the right of Thorson in the gun. Working over to the right side is Devin Bush as he tries to get around. No time for Thorson. He tries to work his way over. It's almost intercepted by the Wolverines. Batted down to the ground in the secondary by Brandon Watson. It was poorly underthrown. The target was Flynn Nagel. It was also very close to an illegal forward pass. He was close to the line of scrimmage. Scrambling out of the pocket was Thorson.
Don Brown being who we all know who he is, a guy likes to dial up pressure, sending Devin Bush to crash and rush Thorson out of the pocket.
He's about to do the exact same thing with Chase Winovich on the left side. Again, 3 receivers out to the left-hand side, 2 impacted closer. Going for the deep shot down the left-hand side is Thorson, and it's overthrown. He was trying to target Benik Skornik. And that is almost a waste of a play on 2nd and 10. Really no reason to go for such a big shot there. And good coverage there from the Wolverines and David Long up the sideline.
David Long about as good as it gets, especially in the college ranks at playing that press coverage, forcing a perfect throw. And that's a far throw from the opposite hash to the opposite sideline.
He tried to drop a dime, and instead he dropped a dud, and now it's 3rd and 10. Obvious 4-down territory for Northwestern, so you got to tell the guys you don't have to get all of it here, although that would be nice. Chunk plays will work all right for now. 3 minutes and 54 seconds remaining. They've only taken about 8 seconds off the clock on this drive. Thorson takes the shotgun snap. He's chased out towards the right-hand side, cuts back in, and he's gone down in the backfield. Sack number 5 on the night for Michigan.
It's Kwity Paye once again, who's been replacing the injured Rashawn Gary for most of this second half. Also Josh Uche, number 6 in there. He's done a phenomenal job at maybe not making the sack, but forcing Thorson to change his direction. And that allows guys like Dwumfor to pursue, Paye to pursue, and it also ends with Thorson on the ground.
And as the clock ticks inside 3 minutes and 15 seconds, Jake Collins will punt away to Donovan Peoples-Jones, and now Northwestern's going to have to play the clock game. Peoples-Jones takes it at the 40. He cuts up inside, tries to get across the 45, breaks a couple tackles. He's got some room. A flag is down, leaps inside the Northwestern 40 and gets jammed up in midair, but a flag is down on the field. It's about a 20-yard return for Peoples-Jones pending the penalty flag, and it looks like Michigan might be backed up here.
There'll be another block in the back. I think Peoples-Jones, sometimes he gets a little too fancy for his blockers, and his blockers get caught in that spot that's unfavorable for them, leads to penalties sometimes.
We'll see what they saw. They are going to give the illegal block in the back here against Michigan, and that's going to push them back from the spot of the foul. 3:02 will remain on the clock.
And all Jim Harbaugh can do is put his hands up and try and talk to the referee down the sideline, but
So here's where things get interesting, Lucas. Northwestern's got all 3 timeouts. However, their run defense outside of the red zone has been pretty stout so far against Karan Higdon, Ben Mason, True Wilson throughout the game today. We'll see what Michigan decides to do. Obviously, you want to take time off the clock, no doubt about that.
I am not a fan of just running the ball 3 times here. I think you have a quarterback that's accurate enough to at least hit some quick screens and force Northwestern to guard the entire field. You have to force Northwestern to guard the whole field. Maybe then you can set up some runs on 3rd down.
Oliver Martin is checked in out wide. He's cutting back inside. The handoff on 1st down goes to Higdon. He goes up the middle. He gets nothing. Met right in the backfield there by Jordan Thompson on the line.
This is still a 3-point game. Michigan should not be looking to just force Northwestern to use their timeouts.
And that will be timeout number 1 for Pat Fitzgerald. 2:59 remaining here. It's going to be 2nd and 10 for the Wolverines when they come out of it. But what, it goes without saying, I think, at this point, but what an effort by Michigan to get back from a 17-point deficit against a team that you clearly feel is inferior in terms of skill. And they have played their hearts out here in the second half. They have clawed their way back. They've had some struggles in the red zone, but they've really played a Midwestern game of football today.
It's been a level of focus that you're excited to see. But going forward and really for the rest of the season, you want to see that sense of focus the entire game. You know, there's no reason that Michigan should have not been playing at this level for the whole time. I mean, it's not over. And that's the thing that they need to focus on right now is they need to finish this ball game.
And they really need to avoid a quick 3 and out, because if they do, it's going to be almost 2.5 minutes on the clock for Northwestern.
We're going quads left.
And it looks like Michigan is going to opt to take a timeout here. Jim Harbaugh didn't like what he saw there with the quads.
Yeah, see how Northwestern maybe lines up to you.
I thought that might have been, just offhand, an identical play to the Karan Higdon touchdown play, where they started quads out left, pull Ben Mason back inside to run block, and cut it right to the right edge of the line.
I think that's what they were going to go for, something similar. Or, you know, maybe you come out in that play knowing that Northwestern knows you had just scored off something like that, and you throw a screen out into your trips formation. As long as your receiver stays in bounds, they can maybe get some extra yards, and it effectively does the same thing by keeping the clock running.
All right, so after mutual timeouts by both Michigan and Northwestern, it's 2nd and 10 from the Michigan 34-yard line with 2:59 remaining here in the 4th quarter. Wolverines 20, Wildcats 17.
They're just gonna go trips left with a nub tight end and Zach Gentry on the right side of the formation.
Yep. Handoff goes to Higdon. He plows forward. He gets about 2 yards. It's very conservative play call here from Jim Harbaugh. It's going to take 4 seconds off the clock, and timeout number 2 for Northwestern will come here with 2:55 remaining.
I believe that you're at about 2nd and 5 coming out of this timeout, or rather 3rd and 6, my bad. But I'd say you let Shea Patterson throw the ball, or at least give him the opportunity to make something happen. Worst case scenario, Shea Patterson doesn't like what he sees, and he just goes down or he runs forward for a couple yards. As long as the ball stays in play and the clock keeps running, the same goal is accomplished as running the ball for a very short game.
So, like I said, here's where it gets a little interesting. It's going to be 3rd and 6 for Michigan from the 38. Do they elect to just run the ball again and hope they can get 6 yards? I think you've got to go to the air here.
You got to come out in some sort of pass formation and just, at the very least, let Patterson use his legs.
They've seemed very hesitant to let him do that out of fear of injury throughout the season. We'll see what they do.
Quads left.
Yep, there comes the quads.
Expect the motion of Ben Mason back in.
So it'll still be outside there. Nico Collins, DPJ, and Zach Gentry is. Yep, Ben Mason will come in as a nub. And they hand off to, no, Patterson kept it. He's across the 35-yard line. He got it.
And exactly what I was alluding to earlier, just a couple moments ago when I said you come out in that formation, act like you're about to do the exact same thing so the defense expects it, and you maybe vary it slightly, and that's what they did. Patterson, great read, keeping it, using his athleticism, and getting that 1st down, keeping the ball in play.
It's not game over yet, but it's going to be darn close off the legs of Shea Patterson.
Northwestern just has 1 timeout left. Michigan has to be effective at managing the clock here.
That is 8 yards on the keeper for the transfer from Ole Miss, trying to ice this game away as Michigan comes out in the I set with 2:22 remaining. They hand off to Higdon. He plows forward. He gets nothing. Tick, 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 tick here for Michigan.
Northwestern will use their final timeout.
So if they are able to get the stops here, you figure they're going to get the ball back off a punt inside of a minute. maybe about 45 seconds at this point.
I'd say Michigan's best bet is maybe to run it once more, but then I'd say you have to do something similar where you give Patterson the opportunity to make a play with his legs.
You mentioned it, and you know, it is true that they haven't let him do that at all really this season, but at the right moment, trying to ice a game away, they give it to the man who is supposedly the savior for all the articles of Michigan football. He might have well just saved this game for Michigan.
It's all about execution now. It's all about all-around execution and just beating the man across from you at this point. If you're going to run the ball, that's what it's about. Getting your block, fitting your gap.
Pistol formation for Michigan.
This gives them the chance to go either way out of the handoff.
Collins right, DPJ left. Higdon backfield. Handoff Higdon. Plows forward, has a little room this time, crosses midfield. Got about 5 yards on that one. It'll be 3rd and 5 as it still continues to salt away here.
So take it down to about a minute and a half. So you get at least one more play, which would take it to about 55 seconds, maybe 50 seconds about. But Michigan's got to be thinking first down here. And that first down has got to come by any means necessary. Your only option is not just to hand it off.
You got to think, even if they go to the air, it's got to be a conservative, a little slant, maybe a bubble.
Yep.
Anything to keep the clock ticking, because honestly, that is of the utmost importance for Michigan.
Pass. And like I said, if you come out in a pass set and you don't have to throw it. If Patterson doesn't like what he sees, he can still run for a couple yards. Or he can just go down. It accomplishes the same feat. At this, where they are on the field, taking a sack does not necessarily do them any damage.
Jim Harbaugh takes his second time out here to draw up the play on 3rd and 5. This clock stops with 1 minute and 31 seconds left to set the scene for you again. Michigan 20, Northwestern 17. Northwestern got out to a 17-0 lead in the second quarter. Michigan has fought back hard. They got 7 back in the second quarter. They got a couple of field goals here in the second half. And then just a few minutes ago, took the lead, I should say, for the first time tonight on a 5-yard Karan Higdon punch-in. Northwestern, if they can get the stop, as we said, will probably get a punt with about 45 seconds left on the clock to give Clayton Thorson a little bit of time to try and make something happen. But to do that, they have to stop Michigan here, looking for 5 yards to keep it going. The Northwestern crowd trying to make as much noise as they can.
Hard when you're outnumbered.
Trips left. Coming in motion is Grant Perry. Higdon takes the handoff. He bounces to the outside, missed tackle. He gets decked at about the 45-yard line. He's going to be short of the first down. He got about 4, but he took an absolute walloping.
And a walloping at the right time. He's going to be 1 yard short of the first down.
And that was Jared McGee on the big hit, and he might have just saved an opportunity for Northwestern to get back in the game. So it's 1:09 and ticking left. There's about 20 seconds left on the play clock. Michigan could honestly let it run all the way down and take their last timeout.
Right now, Shea Patterson looks like he's having a conversation with Jim Harbaugh about maybe wanting to go for it.
You can't. There's not a chance in hell that they let him take that. It's 4th and 1 at midfield. In the odd event that he doesn't get 1 yard, Northwestern is 15 yards away from a field goal try to tie the game. I don't like that he's standing there for that long pleading that case.
Saying if we can't get 1 yard, who are we? But I think they're going to punt it at the end. Yeah,
I would be beside myself if they went for it on 4th and 1 in this situation. Not a chance. Not even worth discussing.
1 yard.
Silly, Lucas.
Can you get 1 yard when you need it?
I think Michigan has proven that they've been able to get just what they need when they need it here in the second half tonight.
Let's see, they got 2 huddles going, so they're going to keep Northwestern off balance here. The punt huddle's heading back to the sideline, so
no.
The offense
try and draw the hard count.
They have no timeouts. This is it. No timeouts.
Oh, I don't like this one bit.
1 yard.
Oh, I don't like it a darn bit. Heavy set I formation. Patterson under center. Higdon in the back. Ben Mason the fullback. A yard and it's ball game. Patterson calms it down at the line.
Or you take the delay of game.
Gets back in. Clock ticking, 6 seconds, 4 seconds. I think he's going to take the delay.
Yep. Okay.
And they will.
That's fine.
Move it back a little bit for the punt. You had me scared for a minute.
I like the idea, and I think they got a little bit of jumping from Northwestern, but
You had
not
me.
enough.
You had me damn frightened there, Lucas Vargas.
Hey,
Michigan will take the delay of game penalty. It'll be 4th and 6, and the ball is going to be spotted directly at midfield. And
I
this
support it.
is where Will Hart, who has been fantastic in the punt game for Michigan so far this season, will have a chance to pin Northwestern deep in their own territory with only about 45 seconds left to go the length of the field.
It's got to be special teams execution now. Got to get this punt off clean. No penalty either.
Michigan has learned the harsh reality that no game is over till it's over, so all eyes up. Hart takes the snap. It's good. Good hang time. And it's going to be caught inside the 5-yard line. It's grabbed by Lees as he breaks across outside to the 15-yard line about there. A good return by Riley Lees gets him out of deep, deep territory. They're going to have the start at their own 15. 34 seconds remaining. It did take a good chunk of time off the clock for him to take that return.
Great punt by Will Hart. And actually, if you want to go back a couple days to a conversation I had with Daniel Thompson on DSR, he asked me my MVP pick of the game, and I actually said Will Hart was my MVP pick of the game.
Again, with 34 seconds left, Northwestern needs to get in field goal position to have a chance to tie the game. It's 20-17 in favor of Michigan. Thorson's in the shotgun. He's got 3 receivers to the left. He's looking for that quick pass over the middle. He does get it out. And it's Swarnick who crosses the 20, close to the 25-yard line and gets out of bounds. A nice little chunk gain of about 10 there on first down, and it'll be a fresh set of downs with 28 seconds remaining.
Good job getting out of bounds, too. Stopping the clock.
Taking what Michigan will give him. Ball is on the 25-yard line. Again, shotgun. They just switched the formation to the opposite side. 3 receivers to the right. Thorson looking right. Pass is completed. Out across the 30, close to the 35. Khalid Hudson was in coverage. The grab was made there by Flynn Nagel. It'll be a gain of 9. Clock keeps ticking. 15 seconds to go, and they spike it. 13 seconds even on the clock for Northwestern to get roughly about the 30-yard line. So they still need to gain about 50 yards.
Neither team has a timeout, so tackling Northwestern player inbound could effectively finish this one.
About 40 yards, I should say. Michigan comes out. 4 men down. Thorson takes the snap. He's looking over the middle again. Rolls out to the right-hand side. He's got a little time. He finds a completion out near midfield as the clock continues to tick. As soon as they set the ball.
Begging for a holding call.
And now the clock is going to be stopped by the referees as they reset the chains, maybe? I don't know what we're talking about here with the reffing crew. They're standing right at midfield having a conversation. The clock has stopped at 4 seconds.
I'm not sure what's going on.
And they wanted a reset on the game clock to show 6 seconds, which should start running as soon as they're down. So they're going to need to take a quick spike, and really this eliminates the chance of a field goal. Not enough time, as they will spike it with 4 seconds remaining. 1 shot to the end zone for Northwestern.
Michigan has brought on Jamaric Woods, an additional safety, pretty long and athletic safety at that as well.
Yeah, Jamaric Woods will stand in there for Michigan at a nice and tall, about 6'4", as the snap is taken by Thorson. He's chased out and he goes down.
That's Uche.
Josh Uche will end the game for Michigan, and they escape a tough one in Evanston. It was one more chance for Northwestern, and Michigan did what they did well all night. They got what they needed when they needed, Lucas.
Big sack. The defense comes through when it matters the most, all in the second half to give Michigan opportunities to win the game.
6 sacks on the night for the Wolverines defense, 2 for Josh Uche, and that is going to do it for us here at Ryan Field. Your final score in Evanston, Michigan 20, Northwestern 17. Lucas, your thoughts?
It's a good comeback win on the road at Northwestern, and a win in the Big Ten is a win in the Big Ten. Michigan showed great focus and poise after falling down 17-0, and they need to replicate that focus through an entire 4 quarters if they want to be successful against the Wisconsins, the Penn States, the Michigan States, the Ohio States of this conference. But nonetheless, getting that win is huge for Michigan. They'll head back home and prepare for a home matchup against the Maryland Terrapins. But focus has got to be the paramount goal of practice.
Michigan heavily outgained Northwestern overall, 376 to 202. And again, the difference in this one late in the 4th quarter was a Karan Higdon 5-yard punch-in for Michigan's first lead of the night, and they salted away the last 4 minutes for a 20-17 win. They advanced to 4-1 on the season, and they advanced to 2-0 in Big Ten play. They will be at home against Maryland next week on Saturday. We will have that call for you here on WCBN Sports. As always, we really do appreciate you tuning in and choosing to listen to the student voice of Michigan football. For Teddy Gutkin, Daniel Thompson, Lucas Vargas, I'm Jeremy Parks. Your final score here at Ryan Field on the campus of Northwestern, north side of Chicago, Michigan 20, Northwestern 17. As always, we leave you with a good night, a go blue, and we'll see you next Saturday.